Alright, stick with me here. Meet Aphrodite, the literal goddess of desire. She definitely awakened mine, and even made our MC ball from the sheer overwhelming amount of love she radiates. But hold up, she is absolutely not happy. She is just glaring at her husband, this 5'11" bald dude with a beard. He is just a random blacksmith named Hephaestus. She is whining because he is drinking and completely forgot to bring what she wanted. Then she flashes one smile at our boy and his knees instantly turn to jelly. The fertility queen asks Hajun for a little favor. Could you pick up some celestial steel for mommy, good boy bro? If she said that to me, I would literally need to change boxers. When a literal goddess shows you that much love, saying no is impossible. So he grabs his helm of Hades, hops on his scooter, and rides toward another dungeon. But seriously, how the hell does a normal guy become the god's personal delivery boy? Well, our bro used to be your typical Uber Eats driver, grinding hard but dirt poor. His daily routine, hiking up 27 floors because of a busted elevator, ringing the bell and getting cursed out for being slow. He would want to scream at the fat slob, but just stayed dead silent. The exact second he hits the street, his boss calls. That last customer, total Snorlax. The guy literally dumped his entire food order into the toilet just to file a fake complaint. Our poor boy desperately tried to explain, but damage done. He got totally suspended. No new orders for a while so he could learn responsibility. Here is the massive problem: his rent is due next week. But right at that very moment, he is standing smack in front of a glowing dungeon portal. Now watch closely, because this changes everything. His phone suddenly flashes with a weird system message: new delivery request. This screen looks totally alien to him. Curiosity takes over and he taps it. Boom, a blinding flash erupts from his screen, and when his vision clears, he is standing in a place that looks like heaven. Absolute panic sets in. Is he dreaming, or did some god-tier being finally choose him? Literally nothing has happened yet, but the dude is already crying tears of joy, thinking his miserable delivery days are done. He checks his phone again. It still shows an active delivery order along with a map and instructions to pick up some nectar. Well, he has literally nothing else going on, so he accepts. The second he taps the screen, massive golden gates swing wide open. He gulps and walks inside. He rides high above the clouds, zooming past a colossal castle. Checking his phone, the nerves kick in. This is it, the actual home of the gods. Entering a grand palace, he halts right in front of a massive door. This has to be the pickup spot. Sweating bullets, he knocks. If a god answers, this might be his one golden ticket to becoming an awakened hunter. The door swings open, and a voice demands his identity. He spots a stunning blonde girl in white, and instantly knows, yep, that is a goddess. Stumbling through his sentence, he mutters that he is just here for the pickup. She steps uncomfortably close, demanding to know why a mere human is wandering Olympus. Accused of trespassing, he frantically shoves his phone forward, explaining he is only here to grab a bottle of nectar. She stops, muttering, this must be Hermes messing around. With a massive sigh, she tells him to stay put while she fetches something no mortal should ever get their hands on. Coming back with the glowing nectar, she gives a dark warning: if her brother does not get this delivery on time, he will go absolutely ballistic. Getting right up in his personal space, she fiercely warns him not to sip a single drop. He frantically nods. Pointing at her eyes to say she is watching, she slams the door shut. The rage instantly bubbles back up. Like, what even is this garbage? You and I both thought his delivery days were over, right? Nope, now he is Uber Eats for the gods. Staring at the bottle, he mutters, it just looks like cheap apple juice, and debates quitting. But then it hits him: the customer getting this order must be another god. Since he is literally already standing in Olympus, he decides he will beg this god for a massive power upgrade. Completely fired up, he swears this is his final delivery ever. With that epic resolve, he starts driving straight through boiling lava. A system ping says he is close. Past a literal mountain of magma, he spots a tiny house. He drags himself to the door, completely exhausted because it is hotter than a blazing sauna, and loudly announces the delivery is here. The door violently swings open. Our boy is completely drenched in sweat from the absolute brutal heat. An angry dwarf working a massive forge turns around, demanding to know who just walked in. Totally flustered, our MC stammers that he is no intruder, just making a delivery. The dwarf stomps over, realizing this human must be the courier his sister sent. Our MC is just mind-blown that these two are actually related. Suddenly, the dwarf realizes he is not Hermes. His terrifying aura explodes, growling that the boy showed up completely uninvited. Panicking, our protagonist hurriedly explains that the dwarf's own sister told him to bring this over. Dwarf checks the bottle. Seeing it completely full, he admits it is crazy impressive the human did not sneak a sip. Offended, our boy says he is no thief and hands it over. The dwarf just laughs, calling him ridiculously honest. Just one tiny sip of that nectar would have instantly turned him into a god. Yet zero temptation. Hearing this, our MC freezes in pure confusion. His brain short-circuits as he realizes, wait, if I just took one sip, I would literally be a god right now. Eyes wide, he eagerly reaches to pop the bottle open, declaring his miserable delivery life officially dead. He lunges for the bottle, but the dwarf furiously snatches it back, pops the lid, and absolutely chugs a massive mouthful before our boy can even blink. So what do you and I learn from this? Never hesitate. The dwarf tosses the bottle down, saying it tastes better chugged. Our boy is absolutely crushed while the dwarf praises the fresh vintage. Alright, stick with me here. Introducing himself as Hephaestus, the guy asks his name, thanking Lee Hajun for his honesty. But before Lee can get another word in, the dwarf turns around totally refreshed and heading right back to work. Lee grabs his shoulder, telling him to wait up. The protagonist demands his missing payment right there. Hephaestus just chuckles, asking if he means the delivery fee. Check your app, he says, walking away laughing. Lee checks the app when suddenly, boom, a blinding flash. The system displays 1,000 points and he wakes up in bed totally dazed. The second he checked that app, light swallowed him and shot him back to Earth. Now a glowing system screen just floats right in front of him. He starts complaining out loud. What even are these points? He literally just met a god. All he really wanted was to become the absolute strongest S-rank hunter alive. Then a system alert pops up. Points can be traded in the shop. He opens it, praying these points are actually useful. The shop has crazy stuff, a golden apple for $1,000, a motorcycle for 100,000. He gets frustrated. Everything is totally overpriced. He frantically keeps scrolling, just trying to find anything that might actually help inside a hunter gate. Now pay attention, because this exact part is where his luck completely changes. Right at the bottom, 1 point equals about $10. Wait, if that is true, he just made 10 grand from one single delivery. He instantly taps the screen. The moment he taps it, a crisp $10 bill magically appears and drops right onto his lap. He grabs it, feels totally real. The system updates, showing his balance drop to 99.99. Absolute disbelief. He stares at the cash, looks back at the screen, and starts spamming that button until money literally rains everywhere. That sly grin says it all. He tosses the cash into the air, absolutely hyped. This is exactly what he needed. Next scene, he is glowing with pure joy, slurping down some ramen. He even tests the cash at a deposit machine and it works flawlessly. Tears almost fall from his eyes. $10,000 from one quick delivery run. When the shop lady asks if things are tough, he says it's actually incredible. Just sitting there cackling like a total maniac. While brainstorming how to spend his new wealth, the TV starts reporting about a massive recruit. The news reveals a top-tier guild is prepping for Tartarus, the deadliest gate ever. They hired a top 5 exam hunter who literally contracted with Hephaestus. Lee instantly realizes Hephaestus is that chubby little dwarf who just became his favorite customer ever. He walks out of the restaurant completely stuffed when his phone randomly rings. He had a gut feeling this might happen, bringing his scooter along. The app flashes a new order and boom, he gets teleported again. Opening his eyes back in Olympus, he is standing right inside a massive, lush botanical garden. While searching for the pickup spot, a voice calls out his full name. A girl steps up, introducing herself as Goddess Demeter. Lee politely says hello, and she mentions hearing about him from her nephew. Who? Oh, just Hephaestus. I know what you are thinking. Nobody in this divine family actually looks related, right? Smiling softly, she notes he clearly never drank their nectar. Then asks if she can trust him with a quick delivery. Instant yes. To him, this is free money. He expects some epic divine artifact, but Demeter just magically crafts a lunchbox. Totally confused, he listens as she asks him to deliver it to her daughter. Not the epic quest he expected, but super easy. He confidently agrees, but suddenly she shivers. In 1 second, the entire beautiful garden completely rots away. He stares around in absolute shock, but she is already walking off, thanking him. He prays this won't turn out to be some crazy divine explosive. Still, he straps it to his scooter. A mother would not send a bomb to her daughter. He checks the app for the destination, but before he can even read it, a flash teleports him to Earth, highly confused. The system map proves the drop-off really is in Courier. Remembering, Demeter said gods cannot leave their palaces without good reason, he figures this is one of those strict rules. He will definitely meet the daughter there. He has never been this pumped for a job, dreaming of those sweet points. Arriving, he yanks off his helmet. This has to be a joke. The app is seriously telling him to enter the deadliest dungeon alive, Tartarus, the ultimate hunter graveyard. He mutters to himself. That cannot be right. Her daughter has to be outside the gate, but the map refreshes, pinning the drop-off deep inside the Tartarus dungeon. He screams that he is absolutely not going in there and tries to cancel. But read the fine print, canceling brings divine punishment. A countdown pops up. 42 minutes or he turns into a human-minded pig. He stares in pure misery. What kind of punishment is that? So what do you and I learn here? Always check the details. Getting past those guards, absolutely impossible. Stick with me here. His brain literally just craves pork. The system chimes in, suggesting he check the shop for help. But the guy is basically broke. Barely any points left, so what is the use? He actually thinks about paying hunters to do it. But wait, the shop offers something for 800 points. A replica Kuni helmet giving 30 whole minutes of invisibility. He calls this limited time deal a total scam to drain his wallet. Since turning into a pig is worse, he buys it, swearing off this job forever. Boom, the helmet magically appears. He reaches for it, and the thing just rolls away. Classic idiot. Slipping it on, he only has 38 minutes left to finish this insane run. He zooms right past the guards, completely invisible. They just sneeze, brushing it off as a chilly breeze. Terrified, he rushes straight for the gate. This is literally the most dangerous place on earth, but backing out is not an option. Hajun Lee. 20 years old, no hunter license, no mythical backing, and absolutely zero powers. Yet somehow this average delivery boy just keeps pushing forward. He becomes the first human ever to reach the bottom of Tartarus. Glancing around, he mutters, "Nobody is here." Well, at least he beat the clock and avoided the pig curse. He yells out that the food has arrived. Now watch closely. From the shadows, a three-headed wolf stares right at him. Our boy completely freezes in pure terror. The massive dog creeps closer, drooling everywhere. Helpless, he realizes becoming a pig would have been an absolute blessing. The beast gets right up in his grill. He knows for sure it is game over. He blew his points on that helmet, basically delivering himself as a snack. Wait, he remembers the item has a second trick. The beast lunges and he spams the skill, but those jaws are already closing in. Suddenly a voice commands the dog not to eat dirty trash. The huge monster stops dead in its tracks. Hajun slowly peeks his eyes open. Still breathing, he turns around and spots a literal little girl. A kid, down in the absolute pit of Tartarus. She casually walks over, petting the hellhound, claiming it never bites. Instantly, he realizes she is a spitting image of Demeter. He politely mentions his delivery. Then a voice asks where Persephone is, and a pale guy appears, guessing she went to play with Cerberus. The man spots our hero, demanding how a mere mortal dared enter Hades' personal underworld. The protagonist tries to awkwardly explain, absolutely shaking as he figures out who he is facing. Hades states, "No human has been here since Orpheus." Instantly, a dark aura chokes Hajun. He cannot breathe. He cannot even speak. Hades sneers. Orpheus came for his dead wife, but this kid came just to steal his helmet. He snatches the helmet instantly, realizing it is a cheap knockoff. Persephone steps in, telling him to listen to the boy. Hades drops him, leaving him coughing hard. Glaring down, Hades asks why he would enter this deadly place. Gasping for air, Hajun gasps out about a delivery. Hades assumes it is for him, the underworld king, but Hajun says no, his wife sent it down for their little daughter. The two gods just stare at each other, totally lost. Hades demands why a mortal brought it and not Hermes. Shivering, he stammers that he does not know, he just followed orders. Meanwhile, Persephone spots the lunchbox and gasps. Hades asks again, "Did his wife really send this?" Hajun nods, repeating the delivery instructions for her daughter. Persephone quickly clarifies it is from her mother-in-law. She beams, thrilled. It arrived warm. "I know what you are thinking." He just realized these two are actually married. He points at Hades, blurting out that he is super gross and way too old. He slaps his mouth, panicking, because he said it aloud. Oh, Hades heard every single word. He glares, daring the kid to repeat that insult to the underworld king. Our hero starts aggressively apologizing, trembling like an absolute leaf. Hades just stares in silence. Then he completely bursts out, laughing like a maniac. Hajun is stunned, while Hades admits no human has ever been this blindly bold. Still chuckling, he asks for his name. The kid stutters it out. Hades decides to forgive the disrespect just this once. But he casually raises a hand, making a terrifying dark energy flare up, making his deadly warning crystal clear. After the threat, Hades casually says the payment is sent. He tells him to thank his mother-in-law. Instantly, the screen flashes. 10,000 points hit his account, plus a fat 5,000 bonus directly from Hades. Hades even tosses the fake helmet back, letting him keep the toy. Hajun shakes, flashing a massive relieved smile. Boom, scene shift. A battered man stands off against a literal dragon, gearing up for a heavy fight. Meet Team 1 Captain Combat Hunter Danha. Danha lands a combo, but the beast slashes his chest. Classic Combat Hunter toughness. After taking the hit, he keeps pushing. Then out of nowhere, another swordsman strikes from behind, launching a massive aura blade that forces the dragon to whip around. The powerful slash hits perfectly. The monster roars in agony before crashing down into the dirt. The swordsman congratulates Danha. The first floors are cleared, and trust me, you and I are not ready for what happens next. Alright, you and I are diving in. Meet World Rank 3 Sungjin Park, celebrating hard with his squad. He calls it an epic day for reaching the deepest zone of Tartarus. Still, the whole crew is completely wiped out. Sungjun gives all the credit to Doyoon for their success. Doyoon gets super emotional, totally denying he deserves that much praise. The squad hugs, promising to stick together forever. Then Sungjun warns Arin to take it easy on the world's 17th ranked dragon. She completely understands. He knows she wants to farm those mana stones, but there is absolutely zero need to rush this. Suddenly, she senses danger. She jumps right off the dragon, screaming that something insanely fast is approaching. The crew glares into the darkness. They are way too exhausted for another battle, but Sungjun still orders them into formation. Arin yells that it is practically on top of them. Sungjun strictly orders everyone to run if things go south, plans to stay behind as bait. But the others get emotional, swearing they will fight right beside their boss to the bitter end. Now watch this part closely. It is here, instead of a monster, they hear a loud engine, then spot a motorcycle helmet in the dark. Sungjun just stares in pure shock. Meanwhile, a super calm Hajun politely asks if he can just pass right through them. Spotting the giant dragon, he praises them. He is honestly just thrilled they appeared because his helmet buff was about to expire. Throwing them a quick thumbs up, he warns them about dark magic creatures up ahead, then casually speeds off on his little scooter. The entire elite guild is left completely speechless. We then cut to an insane number, 150 million. In years, that takes you back to the dinosaurs, and it is almost the entire population of Korea. Usually, he only gets around 3 points per delivery. He would need 50,000 jobs to hit this. But if he exchanged his points right now, that is the exact fortune he would make. Our guy literally cannot stop smiling. He has been staring at that number all day long. Sure, turning into a pig was terrifying. He also barely escaped getting eaten by a dog and nearly choked out by the god of the underworld. Thinking back, he truly suffered for this massive payout. But who cares? He made an absolute fortune, and like a true greedy capitalist, he is already hungry for more. He starts making big plans, but his stomach loudly growls. Priorities shift instantly. Food comes first, probably some cold beer and crispy fried chicken. Meanwhile, a completely exhausted Sungjun is stuck at a conference. He finally steps outside to talk with his guild members. After this, he still has a meeting with the Hunter Association president. Seriously, this poor guy never catches a single break. Do-yoon asks if he brought up that weird delivery boy at the meeting. Sungjun says absolutely not. He is keeping it quiet since the guy's origin is a total mystery. You and I both know they should have chased him down. But honestly, everyone was just way too exhausted and stunned. Still, the entire guild is dying of curiosity. The blonde mentions the bizarre helmet and scooter, guessing he really wouldn't be that hard to track down, but Sungjun strictly orders them to drop it. Their main job is clearing dungeons, not playing detective for some mystery rider. He then tells the other two they desperately need weapon upgrades, meaning a quick trip to the mining dungeon is next. Do-yoon immediately groans and complains, but eventually gives up, asking what specific metal they need. Sungjun thinks for a second before naming it celestial metal. Meanwhile, our main character is enjoying fried chicken when his phone suddenly goes off. Even though he is starving, he jumps straight up. There is no way he is missing another highly profitable order from the gods. A blinding flash of light pulls him away, dropping him straight into the mountains. And right in front of him, Hephaestus' house all over again. That is exactly when panic hits. He forgot his scooter and helmet. While he is freaking out, a figure quietly appears right behind him. A familiar voice calls out. Hajun turns around and sees the legendary blacksmith literally in tears, asking why he is sitting outside. Bawling his eyes out, the dwarf admits he got kicked out. A totally baffled Hajun asks what happened. He explains he was drinking with his brother Dionysus when a woman showed up. She called Dionysus dear, yelled about his drinking, and threw them both out onto the street. She banned them from returning. Dionysus immediately bolted, leaving the poor dwarf totally stranded. Hajun nods in understanding, then asks what he wants to order. Looking absolutely miserable, Hephaestus begs for literally anything to eat or drink. Since getting booted, he has been starving. He even begged his sister for help, but she was totally out of nectar. Now our delivery boy is his final hope. Hajun totally sympathizes, but he has zero clue what actual gods are supposed to consume. Still sprawled on the ground, Hephaestus weakly suggests that meat and alcohol would be absolutely perfect. Checking his trusty phone, Hajun tells the dwarf to hang tight. Another flash of light goes off while Hephaestus just stays miserably glued to the dirt. Suddenly, he starts sniffing the air. Hajun reappears, holding his own chicken and beer, happily offering to share his incredible meal. The confused god admits he has no idea what this food is. Hajun proudly explains it is an absolute classic combo back in Korea. The dwarf takes a sip and is instantly overjoyed. He has never tasted anything so refreshing, even if the chicken pieces look a bit tiny. The second he takes a bite, mind blown. He declares it the greatest thing he has ever eaten in his entire immortal life. Trust me, you will want to stick around for this. Hajun doubts he is a god, but the dwarf tells him to check his phone for a massive reward. Let's dive in. His phone pings and Hephaestus just dropped another 15,000 points. You and I both know this guy is stunned, making a fortune off fried chicken. The dwarf even offers to help him out anytime he needs a solid favor. Hajun thinks this guy is genuinely the best. He almost goes in for a hug until a female voice suddenly shouts, "Dear." They both whip around. Hajun completely freezes when she demands to know why he is drinking again. It is Aphrodite, the literal goddess of love. Our boy is absolutely floored by her insane beauty. He simply cannot compute how she married this weeping dwarf. Suddenly, Hephaestus hits the floor. He desperately explains he is only eating outside because he got kicked out. She glares right back. The dwarf starts sweating, so Hajun thinks he should definitely apologize. But then she introduces herself as Aphrodite. She really lives up to her name, radiating pure charm. She apologizes and Hajun just shrugs. He explains he is just a hired worker here. Hearing that the dwarf requests another delivery, he is totally clueless on how to reply, but Aphrodite praises him for being an honest, greedless boy. He proudly claims he is the official delivery boy. Hephaestus is thrilled though. Hajun secretly wishes he was working directly for Aphrodite instead. Regardless, the dwarf tasks him with grabbing some forge materials. It is local, but he desperately needs some glowing celestial metal. Cut to him riding his beat-up scooter, seriously questioning if he actually found the right spot. Now pay attention here. He is facing the Suwon Mines Gate, totally terrified that he is entering another deadly dungeon. The second he saw the address online, he instantly knew it was the infamous mines. He actually tried backing out, telling Hephaestus the last dungeon almost killed him. When asked why, he admitted he is basically powerless in a fight. He only made it out thanks to his stealth helmet, which is now completely busted. The dwarf happily tells him to hand it over for repairs. He jumps up shouting that he is literally the god of blacksmiths. He can fix any mythical gear. Hajun gets super hyped, grabbing his newly repaired helmet. It is a replica with a strict 2-minute limit. Stepping inside, he is totally confused because the dungeon feels like a crowded carnival. He knew this place was popular, but this turnout is just absolutely ridiculous. He figured the monsters would be his biggest threat, but navigating deep enough is the real challenge. Meanwhile, Dwayne is casually grabbing a bite to eat nearby. After a bumpy 30-minute ride, he hits a quiet zone. The terrible terrain is making his little scooter rattle like crazy. Thankfully, he finally spots some shiny minerals in the walls. But he needs that glowing red celestial metal. He pushes forward, wondering how much farther this is going to be. Turning a corner, a massive skeleton walks right past him. He panics but speeds up, relying on his active stealth helmet. Suddenly, the scooter crashes hard into a rock. The skeleton hears the bang but looks totally lost since nothing is there. The bad news is his poor scooter is completely wrecked. He pauses, then smirks, realizing he is rich enough to just buy 100 more anyway. Are you seeing this? He pushes deeper into the cave until he finally spots the glowing celestial ore. Taking off his helmet, he smiles in absolute victory. But wait, how the heck does he extract it? He pulls, kicks the stone, and completely fails. Seriously, what is his next move supposed to be? Then the system chimes in, telling him to browse the shop for help. He opens it and instantly spots a recommended tool for 4,700 points. It is a single-use explorer pickaxe. For him, that price converts to 47 million won, which is an absolutely insane amount. He suddenly recalls the entrance renting pickaxes for 10,000. So he turns to leave, refusing to drop that kind of insane cash. But then he stares at his smashed scooter, which is obviously in terrible shape. Realizing it might not even make it back, he decides playing it safe is the better option. He spends the points and the pickaxe instantly materializes in his hands. Promising to make Hephaestus foot the huge bill, he swings hard at the glowing rock. The strike connects perfectly. The rare ore pops right out, and the pickaxe instantly shatters into dust. It rolls away, and he hilariously scrambles right after it. He lifts it up, groaning under its insane weight. Sweating, he finally heaves it onto his broken scooter, wishing he could just fast travel straight to Olympus. But suddenly, a massive stone ogre spawns directly behind him. His helmet is off, and he completely freezes in terror. The monster unleashes a roar that rattles the entire cave. Nearby, Dwayne pauses his skeleton fight, wondering what made that massive noise. Dwayne braces for impact as something blasts out of the shadows. It is Hajun flying past on his ruined scooter, screaming at him to get out of the way. Dwayne instantly recognizes the Tartarus guy. You know, this gets wild. Let's dive right in, you and I. Our protagonist speeds past, screaming at Doyen to run for his life. Doyen doesn't even get a single word out before the guy completely vanishes. Then he hears a heavy thud from behind. He turns around. A massive ogre is charging right at him. He immediately sprints for his life, desperately begging for a ride. The scene snaps to Hajun screaming that he nearly died again. Hephaestus compliments his insane speed, but our boy just cusses him out for hiding how incredibly dangerous that place actually was. The dwarf looks completely puzzled, claiming there was absolutely nothing life-threatening over there. Hajun tries explaining that the rock was completely gigantic. The dwarf is still clueless, so Hajun sighs, walks off, and brings over the massive red block himself. He slams the heavy ore onto the ground, telling Hephaestus to look at the giant monster rock he requested. The dwarf stares in absolute shock, asking what kind of beast that is. They just silently stare at each other. Hajun tells him to stop joking around, that is the celestial metal he ordered. The dwarf lifts the stone, admitting he has never seen celestial metal this impossibly massive or pure before. Hajun is totally confused by this reaction. The dwarf tells him to hold on, running off, to show him something. He comes back holding a tiny little pebble, explaining that used to be the biggest chunk he had ever found. Then he tells Hajun he is way more amazing than expected, and definitely deserves a much larger reward than promised. Watch closely, you'll love this. He tells Hajun to look, leaving him stunned while the dwarf freaks out over it. The job was supposed to pay 20,000 points, but he gets a 30,000 bonus for the size. The insane payout literally leaves him feeling dizzy. That is like getting $500,000. The dwarf explains he paid extra because snapping off one piece and making him carry the rest back would be a joke. Hajun immediately drops to his knees, thanking him from the bottom of his heart. The dwarf tells him to get up, but our boy physically cannot. Even his trembling legs are thanking the guy. Later, the news covers a massive earthquake at the Surai mines. Songjin asks Doyun if he is actually okay. Doyun says yes, but warns the mines are closed for good. Songjin asks what went down. Doyun explains a giant golem attacked them, and that crazy guy from the Tartarus gate magically reappeared. The absolute weirdest detail, the golems actually seem to be hunting that specific guy. Hearing this, Songjin immediately considers recruiting the protagonist. Doyun confidently says he can track the mystery guy down if needed. He remembers the bike model and license plate, plus he pulled the security footage. The leader happily thanks him, knowing this guy would massively boost their guild. Songjin is just relieved. Doyun was not injured, promising to take over the investigation now. Doyun lights up, swearing absolute loyalty, until Songjin casually asks if he secured any celestial metal. That instantly kills the mood, completely silencing them. Meanwhile, Hajun stares at 75,000 points on his screen, grinning like a total idiot. With $500,000, buying a new house is finally on the table. He is making an absolutely insane amount of cash even for top hunter standards. I know what you are thinking, he is totally set right. Wrong. He knows pure luck kept him alive, so he desperately checks the system shop. He opens the menu hunting for gear. But per usual, everything is wildly overpriced garbage. The cheapest weapons cost $1 million, and they are cheap replicas that will probably break. For a second, he seriously reconsiders fighting monsters. But then an item catches his eye. A level 1 racing suit that actually boosts physical abilities depending on its upgrade level. The price tag is 50,000 points. He is highly annoyed the system hid this gem. Still, he has no clue about its real power, and 50 grand is a massive investment. After agonizing over it, he pulls the trigger. A solid business investment to handle tougher deliveries. The moment he buys it, a bright flash blinds him, and the suit magically appears right there. Yep, absolutely no turning back now. His balance drops to 25,000 points, but hey, he is geared up. Slipping it on feels completely strange. It fits perfectly tight, but feels so incredibly light he barely notices it, plus 0 heat buildup. He decides to test drive it. Meanwhile, Doyun is suffering downtown. He has been hunting for our delivery boy all day. Even with the plate, getting an address is impossible. Because Hajun has committed 0 crimes, the cops are no help at all. Doyun angrily yells, wondering how on earth he will track that bastard down. At that exact second, Hajun pulls up right beside him, mentioning the light turned green. Doyun mumbles an apology and steps back, thinking it is just a common bike model. But then his eyes lock onto those specific side scratches. The scratches match perfectly, and so does the plate. He screams for Hajun to stop, but he is already gone. Doyun desperately sprints after him, spots a random taxi, dives inside, and yells at the driver to tail that motorcycle, but he just gets brutally kicked out. The driver asks if he thinks he is in an action movie, leaving him completely stranded. Even so, he refuses to quit, blindly sprinting down the street until the bike finally stops. But after running for miles, he dramatically collapses, totally breathless. So what do you and I take from this? Never chase motorcycles. A lady recognizes his famous guild, but an exhausted Doyun denies everything. Let's dive in, you and I. No elite guild member should be eating dirt like this. Where did that stupid delivery guy vanish to? Suddenly, a scream rips through the air. He gets a terrible gut feeling and creeps in slowly. He scans the area, but the bike is completely gone. Still, his instincts are screaming that guy is totally involved. The elders warn him to back off. Echoes from the peak might trigger a massive avalanche. But he just tells them to relax. He's top-tier guild material, so he bolts forward. Once again, he's chasing down our completely exhausted main character, and he glances sideways and freezes. There's a clean, massive hole blasted straight through a solid rock. No way a human did that. A B-rank hunter could smash a boulder, sure. But carving out a perfect crater, impossible. That takes raw magic, or straight-up divine power. If that delivery biker pulled this off, he needs to recruit him, no matter the cost. Meanwhile, Hyun is absolutely drained at home. Still completely stunned, he blasted that rock. For a solid minute, he actually outran his own motorcycle. Now he's hyped, ready to raid literally any dungeon. Then his phone rings, but it's playing a traditional Chinese instrument, not a harp. He checks the map. Since the location isn't Olympus, it's gotta be a dungeon. He searches for dungeons in Bakyang, and right on cue he finds one. Mount Huaguo. Since there's no delivery timer, he lets his suit recharge. But stick with me here, he has no clue he's being followed right now. That blonde guild member is watching him. Sunjun already heard Dion's full report. He figured spreading hunters out would track him down eventually. Sungjun argued it was useless without a photo, but Dion just told him to chill. Then he shows a perfect sketch of the biker. The leader asks if it's true. This kid is way stronger than he looks. Dion mentions that cratered rock, something an average guy could never pull off. Yangwon might be Korea's #1 guild today, but the runner-up Black Dragon has been growing insanely fast lately. The huge problem. They will do seriously illegal stuff just to gain more power. Leader refuses to let raw talent fall into the hands of a guild like that, especially with all their recent shady business. Dion promises he'll recruit him. Next day, Hyun arrives at Mount Huaguo only to find a massive crowd at the gate. Didn't the internet say this place was dead? As he walks up, some tough guy barks at him to freeze. Startled, he realizes the guy is yelling at a kid. People around are whispering about Black Dragon Guild. Our main character knows they're notorious for hijacking gates. But honestly, it's not his problem, so he casually walks right inside. The second he steps into the dungeon, his phone pings. He's super close to the drop-off point. He takes a few more steps. The app says he's right on top of it. He's totally confused. Then he glances up the towering mountain. The actual delivery spot is way up at the peak. Thinking about that stone golem makes him sweat. But with his suit equipped, he's ready for anything. He pulls off his helmet to move when suddenly a voice calls out for the delivery man. We definitely didn't see this coming. A monkey's head in the dirt is talking. Hyun completely freezes. Monkey tells him to chill out. Hasn't he talked to a monkey before? Completely speechless, Hyun asks if he placed the order. Monkey explains that a kid wearing a winged hat said if he wished hard enough, someone would show up to help. Our hero immediately starts wondering if this mysterious winged hat kid is pulling all the strings. Monkey says he needs Hyun to fetch something for him. Confident Hyun just tells him to name it. The monkey introduces himself. The beautiful Monkey King. The victorious Buddha. Most people just call him the Great Sun Wukong. Hyun instantly thinks of Goku. He steps closer, asking why he's trapped. Wukong admits he was punished for stealing the Jade Emperor's peaches. He just wanted one tiny bite, but the second he touched them, boom, sealed right under this massive mountain. Hyun nods, totally getting it, and asks what the job is. Wukong says it's easy. Just follow the path behind him to a trash pile. There's a hidden box there he wants back. Hyun checks the map, it's only about 6 miles away. Not a bad trek. He promises to be right back and runs off. But behind him, the little monkey flashes a very sly smile. Elsewhere, adventurers wonder if they've found the Mount Huaguo boss. A colossal golem is sitting right there. A girl steps up telling them not to panic. She's Johan, the Black Dragon Guild master. Her dangerous aura literally rivals Aphrodite. She knows the rival Yangwon Guild just cleared the first 4 Tartarus levels. Beating this 8 trigram boss could steal the #1 spot. She orders the attack and her blonde backup sends the tanks in. The men hesitate. The monster isn't even moving. But something feels incredibly wrong. The ground caves in and a colossal beast rises over them. And that's where we leave it. Trust me, you'll want the next part. Alright, stick with me. We are kicking off with a monster roar that absolutely terrifies everyone. The blonde guy threatens them, run away, and the guild kills you. The adventurers totally panic about fighting this thing with trash weapons. Then a redhead screams at them to snap out of it. 1 second of lost focus and they get crushed. The group hesitates, but charges in anyway. The blonde turns and asks the redhead if this crazy plan actually works. She calmly admits she has zero clue. Meanwhile, in the forest, Hyun is just riding his scooter when bam, earthquake. Even wild monsters are fleeing the area. He spots heavy smoke in the distance and immediately knows things are bad. His combat suit is still on cooldown, but he heads over anyway. By now, the frontline adventurers are getting destroyed. A single stomp completely wipes them out. The rear line tries firing back, but those arrows do absolutely nothing. Seeing their attacks fail, the redhead locks eyes on a nearby mage. The poor guy says he only came to register. But Shuyu claims that too many survivors would actually ruin her guild's reputation. He looks totally confused. Then smack, she knocks him out cold, declaring they are just fodder for her takeover. The battlefield is way too loud for anyone to notice, so the rest keep charging forward. Wait, the redhead uses a jump skill, launching himself right at the golem. He lands a solid headshot, screaming that he created an opening for everyone to strike. The entire team swarms the giant boss. After an absolutely brutal fight, the monster finally drops. Everyone starts cheering, thinking their attacks actually did the trick. They celebrate, fully convinced they just survived this nightmare. But then the golem suddenly wakes right back up. Its gears glow burning hot as it rises. Jan looks hyped. Now pay attention because things get wild. The boss hits phase 2 looking way bigger. In the back, Hyun literally wonders where the like button is on this crazy scene. He jokes that if this clip goes viral, part 2 drops soon, so smash that bell. Remember how things ended earlier? Hyun entered this dungeon just because a monkey asked him to grab some random junk. The second he arrived, he smashed that like button. Meanwhile, outside the gate, Do-hun complains about traveling from Suwon yesterday all the way down to Busan. The poor dude is searching endlessly for Hyun. He is literally driving across the entire province today. Arriving right at the Sonju mountain entrance, he finds it totally empty, which instantly feels super weird. Suddenly, a chubby guy with glasses yells out. Do-hun asks where he came from, but the guy aggressively snaps back, demanding Do-hun watch his mouth and state his name. So Do-hun casually drops his name and asks what exactly this guy intends to do. He instantly knows this guy is not association staff, probably Black Dragon Guild, so he shoves right past him, telling him to move. The glasses guy desperately warns him to stay out. Unable to actually stop him, Do-hun just walks right in. That basically confirms his theory. If they station guards to block the entrance, a boss monster must be inside. He sprints off, realizing he needs to warn everyone about this abandoned zone. The real fight against the 8 trigrams finally kicks off when this monster enters phase 2. You and I both know what this means. Hyun arrives, sees the giant laser belly monster, and realizes this is the junk. Even fully suited up, he seriously doubts he can win. Shaking a little, he wonders how he is supposed to handle this. Then he spots the redhead and her group nearby. He instantly recognizes their gear. They are Black Dragon Guild members. The adventurers begging to quit are literally being dragged, kicking and screaming back into the fight. Super weirdly, the blonde guy jumps right onto the monster's chest, holding the mage. Hyun watches in pure confusion, wondering what his crazy plan is. The Black Dragon Psycho throws the poor adventurer straight toward the burning core. The guy screams, begging not to be dropped, but the blonde laughs, saying he deserves it for running away. He lets go, but Hyun zooms in, punches the blonde right in the face, and calls him a complete bastard. Black Dragon leader stares in pure shock, wondering who this guy is. How did he just one-shot a B-rank adventurer? Our boy swoops in like an absolute hero, smoothly catching the falling guy right in his arms. The terrified adventurer cries out a thank you, but warns Hyun that staying here is basically suicide. Hyun glances around. He is totally trapped between a massive boss and the entire Black Dragon Guild. He could totally just steal the box and run during the chaos, but his conscience says no. He tells the shaking guy not to worry. He simply could not watch someone die for absolutely nothing. The guild leader angrily demands to know why everyone stopped attacking. Meanwhile, Hyun realizes these idiots caused this entire disaster. His suit only has 2 minutes and 17 seconds of power left, so he has to act fast. The redhead is absolutely furious, thinking her victory was totally guaranteed. A bald guild member asks if he should deploy the archers, but she shuts him down. She explains they still need more bodies to feed the boss. That is the dark secret to beating the 8 trigrams. While shifting from phase 1 to 2, the boss is completely paralyzed. Feeding human sacrifices straight into its glowing chest makes the final battle way easier. Watch closely because this is where we leave it. The bald guy points up. Hyun has already leaped way high above the boss. Alright, stick with me here. Up top, he spots a crack in the skull, obvious weak point. So he winds up and throws a massive punch. Direct hit to the monster's head. Down below, the leader starts trembling, wondering what this idiot is doing. He is going to wake the boss. She screams at her guild to stop him immediately. Dead or alive, she doesn't care. Just get him off there. The whole guild fires arrows at the boss. Meanwhile, Hajun's suit timer reads exactly 1 minute and 31 seconds. He keeps hammering the ogre's head, begging it to just break. Suddenly, a warning window pops up. His body starts auto-dodging every single arrow. He's shocked, wondering why they want him dead. The bald guy tells his leader this stranger is dodging like a literal god. He avoids arrows from behind without looking, but then one arrow strikes the ogre straight in the eye. Massive creature shudders its eye, glowing bright. The bald guy realizes they might need the whole squad to stop him, ordering the front line to charge. Hajun wonders when this will end. The boss has so many arrows it looks like a weird wig. Suddenly, the ground violently shakes. The captain drops her fan. They are in serious trouble now. The creature's eye completely lights up. Phase 2 begins. Hajun complains about the heat up there while everyone down below absolutely trembles. The golem roars, stomping down and wiping out the entire force in one blow. The bald guy begs for orders, but their leader is completely speechless. Game over. Staring down the giant golem, she is totally convinced they are all about to be burned to ash. Now watch this. Above them, Hajun is still just hammering the monster's forehead with punch after punch. She can't believe he's actually alive. But here is the problem, his suit only has 10 seconds left. He keeps punching. 8 seconds, 5 seconds. He begs it to break. Only 1 second left. He throws a final punch, completely blowing the creature's head apart. The smoke clears. Do-won just arrived on the scene, completely shocked by the madness in front of him. Staring at the massive fallen boss, he wonders, did this kid really solo it? Honestly, Do-won feels instantly drawn to Hajun. Their fighting styles are so similar, but finding him here unreal. He rushes toward Hajun, determined to recruit him into the guild right now. Down below, the Black Dragon members somehow survived. Suhan is losing his mind. He can't believe that loser soloed the 8 trigrams. The bald guy demands orders. She tells him to grab the boy the second the smoke finally clears. Sure, he was strong enough to win, but he has to be running on empty. She refuses to let the guy who ruined Black Dragon's plan get away. Boom, a sudden explosion hits right in front of them. It is Do-won saying hello. The entire guild recognizes him instantly. He calls them out, saying he knew they were behind this sick plot to use the new recruits as human sacrifices. Jian never expected him to crash the party, so she yells at everyone to prepare for battle. Pointing at him, she declares he is the new target. Nobody better drop their guard at all. Suhan is sweating. Too many enemies and victory isn't looking great. But honestly, all he really cares about is figuring out where Hajun disappeared to. A guild member runs up panicking about a problem. She asks what? He nervously admits the helmet guy completely vanished. You caught that right, he bailed. Both guys are clueless and she screams in frustration. He was in huge trouble. Stuck facing an army, and he only got dragged into this by total accident. He ran away with the helmet to survive. He almost woke up dead, and definitely not to make a delivery. Our poor delivery boy questions why he even helped them. He isn't a hunter. He promises himself he will never ever make that mistake again. Then something in the distance grabs his attention. It is Sapion, True Mountain City. He wonders if the dungeon is vanishing because he killed the boss. Dungeons form when gates stay uncleared too long. Once open, anyone can fight the boss. But it's brutal. Usually only official association hunters can do it. But this time, the guy who totally cleared the dungeon is literally registered as a simple delivery worker. Prays this won't cause drama, regretting his choices. Then he flashes back to his meeting with the monkey. The monkey complains he took way too long. Crying Hajun screams that the request was absolutely impossible. The monkey tells him to quit whining and explain. Hajun curses, yelling that the so-called junk was a massive ogre. It shook the earth and fired a laser that almost roasted him alive. Hang says that is impossible. He wonders if the 8 trigrams went crazy, since it is normally super peaceful and just stays still unless provoked. It hits him. Without the Black Dragon Guild interfering, this job would have been a total breeze. Now he is absolutely furious. He wants to smash their faces in. How dare those jerks mess with his precious delivery schedule? The monkey smirks, assuming from the story that he failed to get the box. But Hajun smiles, he got it. Wukong is stunned. How? Hajun casually says he blew the monster's head apart to get it. The monkey just loses his mind, laughing, calling him incredible. And honestly, you and I have to agree. Stick with me here. Even if Wukong beat that heavenly beast, its earthly version could still wipe out humanity. He asks the kid's name and Hajun answers. The monkey just reaches out his hand, declaring that today he officially met Lee Hajun. Boom, something suddenly bursts straight out of the box. An explosion hits and an object launches sky high. Hajun opens his eyes to see the monkey holding his legendary staff. He says Hajun saved his life and owes him big time. Without him, he'd be trapped forever. Hajun instantly recognizes it. The golden staff. Wukong whistles and a flying cloud forms right under his feet. He warns Hajun to run before the Jade Emperor actually shows up. Then he zips off, promising they'll meet again. Hajun is completely speechless. Honestly, he doesn't even mind the monkey ditching without paying. Bam, a sack smacks him in the face. Wukong yells that he isn't cheap, the payment is already inside. The sack is just a little bonus for all his hard work. Hajun asks what it is, but the monkey vanished. A blinding golden light radiates from the bag. He opens it up, wondering if this is seriously just a bonus. Later, chilling at home, Hajun catches the news. They're exposing all the shady accusations against the Black Dragon Guild. He feels completely relieved. Those jerks are finally getting what they deserve. The guy Hajun saved tells reporters that nobody expected to fight the boss. The reporter brings up the mystery helmet guy who saved everyone. Smiling, the survivor says this legend showed up just as he was about to be burned alive. He completely destroyed the 8 trigrams alone. Without him, none of them would have survived. Hajun smiles. All that insane effort actually meant something. When his body moved by itself, he thought he was losing his mind. But it worked out perfectly, and his identity stayed hidden. Honestly, the money was the best part. He now holds 95,300 points, 70,000 just from this single delivery. Even though he totally felt he deserved way more for soloing that boss. Still, he cashes out perfectly satisfied. $700,000 from one single job, enough to buy an absolute dream apartment. Plus, he got an incredibly unexpected reward. One single strand of hair from the legendary Wukong. Put it in your hand, blow on it, and boom, it summons a Wukong clone. Hajun is hyped because this is basically a get-out-of-jail-free card. Now pay attention. With random monsters spawning everywhere, even a clone of the Monkey King is an absolute game-changer. He even pulls a goofy monkey face at it. To him, this is literally an extra life. Suddenly, a brand new delivery request pops up. He throws on his jacket, slaps on his helmet, and gears up for the next job. Meanwhile, someone is sprinting down a hospital hallway. The guild leader is calling for Do-yoon. The poor guy took a massive beating from the guild and looks terrible. He asks why the boss is even here. Wasn't he supposed to be in Busan today? The leader says he finished that up early and had to come. He blames himself for Do-yoon ending up hospitalized like this, but the kid shuts that down. He totally misread the situation and jumped into a fight he should have avoided. He should have played it safe around those Black Dragon scumbags. Sungjun is absolutely furious. They actually dared to attack his guild member. Ares should have gone with him. Next time, Sungjun vows to crush those guys personally. Then he softens up, asking if Do-yoon is okay. Do-yoon says the doctors gave him terrible news. Sungjun panics, asking if his career as a hunter is completely over. But the little brat is just trolling. He bursts out laughing because the leader actually fell for it. His arm just has a tiny fracture. He'll heal up fast. He laughs right in his boss's face, asking if he seriously thought he'd quit over a scratch. Sungjun pinches his cheek, joking that maybe today is a great day for early retirement. Do-yoon shoots back, declaring he'll follow his leader forever. A moment later, things get serious. The leader asks if it's true that a kid soloed the 8 trigrams. Do-yoon confirms he saw the guy obliterate the monster's head with a single punch. Watching a bare-handed win blew his martial artist mind. And you know exactly who they're talking about. He asks if the search team found the kid yet. Sungjun sighs, no luck. Security cameras showed him entering an alley, then poof, vanished. Meanwhile, high in the sky, Hajun sneezes, complaining about the freezing altitude. He finally reaches Hephaestus' place, and man, it is way too hot inside. He pushes the door open and yells a greeting, but the dwarf is too hyper-focused to care. So Hajun just sits down to wait it out. In that cozy roasting room, he starts nodding off. The intense heat sparks a random memory for him. It feels strangely comforting, like a warm hug. Suddenly, Hephaestus snaps him awake with a massive bear hug, shouting, "When did you get here?" Jolted awake, Hajun yells, asking when this crazy dwarf snuck up on him. Hephaestus laughs, noting the kid looks exhausted, but his next delivery is super far. Can he actually handle it? Hajun pauses to think. Distance equals money, and he knows that fact well. So he smirks and says he'd walk across the globe if the payout is right. Hephaestus grins, thrilled to have him on board. He brings out a staff forged from the exact materials Hajun delivered before. And that's where we leave it. Trust me, you'll want to see this next job. Alright, stick with me here. Hearing that, Hajun figured he better get moving, checking the gear and asking where to go. A pyramid, apparently. Hajun was completely stunned, pointing out that just shipping this stuff by plane would be way easier. Plus, pyramids completely ignore Greek myth. Winking, Hephaestus smirked and revealed he actually had plenty of clients way outside Olympus. Annoyed, Hajun rushed off, promising to finish it in a few hours. But then Hephaestus suddenly stopped him, mentioning one forgotten detail. This weird client required special attention, so he assigned Hajun a helper. The kid was totally confused, wondering why a simple delivery needed extra hands. Suddenly, someone greeted him, claiming they arrived on Cupid's direct orders, quickly introducing themselves as Lucio. Despite that manly name, Lucio was definitely a girl, he assumed. Deciding not to overthink the weirdness, he just hit the gas on his scooter. Luckily, this trip would be super fast. This version of Egypt floated right up in the sky, meaning absolutely zero traffic jams up there. But suddenly Lucio started screaming about being tricked, expected to work for Hephaestus, not ride behind some random human guy. Kicking Hajun right in the head, she instantly got on his nerves. He grumbled she was way too annoying for a tiny fairy. Snapping right back, she yelled that she was actually huge for a nymph. Just an hour ago, during her introduction, she proudly claimed it was an absolute honor serving the main character. Hajun clearly hated dragging her along, but Hephaestus swore she was necessary. The main character literally turned around begging to do this solo mission. Now, pay attention to this part. Lucio demanded serious respect while he explained, trust was not the issue. Hajun just needed her navigation skills. Basically, she was there to help, not ruin everything. Yet, on the scooter, she shamelessly picked her nose, flat out refusing to assist some kid. Whining about riding a human vehicle, she kept brutally kicking his head, whining about how much longer this trip would take. Ignored the noise, but she just kept screaming. So he struck a deal, promising to tell Hephaestus she behaved perfectly if she simply zipped her mouth shut completely. Because to Lucio, being completely useless meant a ruined reputation. She studied hard her entire life, and fairies of her rank were basically treated like pure divinities. Refusing that logic, she kept whining loudly until a piece of candy suddenly dropped into her mouth. Totally startled, she demanded an explanation immediately. Hajun bluntly stated she talked too much, giving her candy just to force her silence. If she stayed quiet the whole ride, she would definitely get some more. Having never tasted candy, Lucio thought it was literally food from heaven. She warned him against lying, and he calmly replied he never broke his promises. Hajun figured tossing candy was the absolute easiest toddler control tactic. With her finally quiet, only 800 meters remained until their drop point. He enjoyed 10 seconds of peace before two glowing eyes pierced the heavy mist. Breaking hard, they were instantly swallowed by thick fog. Highly annoyed, he demanded to know why Lucio completely failed to warn him. She muffled back it was his fault for bribing her with candy. Stopping the scooter, he yanked the struggling fairy off as she desperately pointed straight ahead. Looming right behind them was a massive sphinx. It declared passage required solving its personal riddle. "You and I know this means trouble." Lucio warned this beast eats losers, since it's connected to Typhon, the legendary monster that almost destroyed Olympus. This one wasn't at that god tier, but honestly, Hajun was basically a weakling anyway. Seeing its massive size, he knew regular punches were totally useless. Then his phone randomly buzzed, making him pray this delivery actually paid out huge. Shrugging it off, he walked straight forward. Freaking out, Lucio asked his plan, and Hajun stated the painfully obvious. He was answering the stupid riddle. She tried holding him back, screaming he would literally die, guessing wrong. Hajun felt ridiculously confident about this famous riddle, figuring in the absolute worst-case scenario he could still bust out Wukong's magical hair strand. Staring down, the Sphinx asked if he was mentally prepared. Hajun just told it to hurry up already since he had a delivery schedule to keep. Meanwhile, Lucio sobbed because this absolute idiot really accepted the challenge. Smirking down, the Sphinx told them both to listen up. Hajun fully expected the old classic riddle. You know what walks on 4 legs at dawn, 2 at noon, and 3 at night. Though let us be real, grandpas today are so insanely buff, they do not even need canes. Confident, he waited for the question he practically memorized. But then the monster asked, what sound does a falling duck make? Hajun just froze there, completely dumbfounded, his brain absolutely short-circuiting in real time. As the giant beast stared, he practically screamed out, asking what kind of idiotic duck question that was. Thinking hard, Lucio offered that ducks go quack before bursting into ugly tears, because she had zero idea what noises hurt ducks actually made. Secretly being broadcasted through a magic sphere, the absolute last thing she wanted was getting eaten alive. Watching that sphere was a mysterious woman wearing Egyptian clothes smoothly. Noting that these two weird visitors looked extremely entertaining, the Sphinx locked eyes with them, loudly demanding an answer. Hajun drew a total blank. Was this some kind of terrible dad joke? Trust me, you are going to want to see this. He realized Sphinxes love wordplay, and the grinning monster gave him exactly 3 minutes to answer. Completely desperate, Lucio wailed that this was flat out impossible. Even she, an elite scholar, was totally clueless. Alright, stick with me here. Lucia was absolutely furious at Hyun, thinking she was about to be eaten. She remembered asking her teacher if Sphinx riddles were hard, and her teacher, he warned her that 100 people got eaten before anyone solved one. Lucia had asked if that made them impossible to solve since not even jinns could do it. His advice: if you ever see a Sphinx, just run for your life. So now she was bawling her eyes out, totally convinced they were dead. And Hyun just turned around and deadpanned. The sound a duck makes when it falls is a quackcident, a mix of quack and accident. Lucia literally froze in pure shock. What the heck was he thinking? Why on earth would he waste their only survival chance on a stupid pun? But get this, the Sphinx smiled. He was right, Lucia snapped, yelling about how that dumb joke counted. Hyun just thought it was obvious. It was just a pun, obviously. The Sphinx praised his genius and gladly granted him the right to pass. But before she could even finish talking, he told her to shut up. He solved the stupid puzzle, so move. The Sphinx stood there totally stunned by the hostility. Then he brutally told her to get a better riddle because that one was absolute garbage. The poor Sphinx actually started crying. He glanced back, asking if she was seriously crying over that. Sniffling, she lied and said it was just sand in her eye. You feel her pain, right? Lucia still couldn't believe he got it. Then Hyun told her to hold on, he was speeding up. A little while later, as they drove into the dark passage, Lucia called out to him. She sounded super hesitant. When he asked why she finally apologized for earlier, she was supposed to be his helpful guide, but instead she just kept trashing him for being a mere human. She admitted she didn't even deserve the title of Mega Elite anymore. But Hyun just shrugged, telling her not to be so dramatic. Compared to the toxic garbage he usually dealt with, this was absolutely nothing. To him, she just sounded like an annoying little cousin, so whatever. Lucia got super shy and quietly thanked him. Soon enough, they reached the pyramid. This thing was so massively huge that Lucia couldn't even see the top. Hyun checked around the map, confirmed this was the spot. Then she noticed some ancient writing. They walked up to a weird box covered in Egyptian text. She read it and said, "Ring the doorbell." He was honestly impressed she could translate hieroglyphs, proudly claiming her elite status. She watched him press the button. Instantly, the whole place started violently shaking. She panicked, yelling that this was gravity magic, which made zero sense for a doorbell. Suddenly, the ground vanished beneath them, dropping them straight into a massive pit. Moments later, Hyun was shocked. He survived such an insane fall until he realized he landed on Lucia, nearly crushing her soul. He awkwardly asked if she was dead. She angrily snapped back, sadly, no. Here is where it gets wild for us. Walking the pyramid halls felt like a dungeon crawl to Hyun, until Lucia randomly screamed for him to stop. He immediately thought it was a trap, but she just told him to shine his glowing light on the wall so she could read the ancient text. Staring at the creepy hieroglyphs, he asked what it meant, and why humans were painted with a giant. Lucia looked absolutely terrified. He asked if she figured something out. She mentioned rumors of an evil goddess who loved torturing nymphs. She was convinced these ancient drawings were her ancestors, desperately warning them about brutal attacks. But honestly, to Hyun, it didn't look like suffering at all. It just looked like a fun field festival. Still, she got totally hyped, declaring this was her chance to avenge her ancestors. Hyun quickly told her to shut up since that goddess was literally their client. Suddenly, a mysterious leg stepped into view, asking what all this loud talk about vengeance was. The woman turned around, flashing a Cleopatra-style smile, and demanded to know why they barged into her home. After calling them super rude, she asked who exactly wanted revenge. Hyun obviously couldn't see a thing in the dark, but Lucia recklessly flew straight at her, screaming about avenging her ancestors. Our main character yelled at her to calm down, asking what the heck she was doing. The gorgeous Egyptian woman just smiled warmly. Asking if she was a nymph, she said it had been ages since she saw one. Then she hugged her tight, calling her adorable. Getting absolutely squished, Lucia screamed for the enemy to let her go. Hyun just stood there completely confused. Later on, the woman explained that centuries ago they threw massive festivals for nymphs here, and the young ones were insanely cute. She was just super sad they were all gone now. Hearing this, Hyun finally realized exactly how they died. She definitely hugged them straight to death, and Lucia was living proof. The woman finally let go, admitting she just couldn't resist anything that cute. Lucia cried that she almost died. She angrily asked Hyun why he didn't save her, but he just told her to relax. They instantly started bickering. She yelled that he treated her like family, so how could he just let his family die? The woman interrupted, ready to introduce herself. She ruled the two brightest lands and was the divine reincarnation of the mighty Horus, a literal pharaoh, but the chaotic duo totally ignored her and kept arguing. Over the noise, Hyun casually asked what this pharaoh stuff even meant. Wasn't Egypt just a kingdom? Frustrated, Lucia told him he knew absolutely nothing, explaining that there were actually two types of gods. Gods born divine like Zeus and mortals who ascended to godhood like her. And trust me, we are going to love what happens next. Alright, jump in with me. The pharaoh glares, asking why he called her an old lady. Hajun nervously offers the package, which she already expected. She actually watched his entire crazy trip. Suddenly, the package just floats right up and flies straight into her hand. Inspecting it closely, she nods. Absolute top-tier quality. The craftsman's skill and the design, totally flawless. She smirks, saying delivery boy Hajun really lives up to his massive reputation. Our guy just blinks. Since when did he have one? Whatever. Job done. He quickly thanks her and casually drops that any bonus can go straight to his bank account. Lucio facepalms. Working with someone this greedy is so embarrassing. No pride at all, but Hajun snaps back. Pride does not buy groceries. That same money buys her favorite candy. Suddenly hyped, Lucio instantly changes her tune, begging the pharaoh for a ridiculously huge deposit. The pharaoh chuckles, calling their friendship absolutely wonderful. She tells them not to stress about the payment, because she is one seriously generous goddess. 50,000 points for the delivery, plus another 50,000 as a bonus. That puts him at 19,500 points. Our boy just hit $19 million. Lucio immediately chimes in. She helped So pay up in candy. He laughs, promising to buy her an entire candy store. Hyped, she demands 90% of the profits. Hajun just stares at her in dead silence. But the pharaoh drops a quick warning: next time skip the weird tunnel and just use the main front entrance. She has super fond memories of that spot, but taking deliveries down in a basement makes literally zero sense. Lucio points out the sign explicitly said to ring the bell if guards were missing. The pharaoh sighs. There haven't been guards there for years. They should have just knocked on the front door. Basically ignore the stupid button and take the stairs. Just like that, the crazy delivery is done and our guy is finally back at Hephaestus' house. Totally exhausted but alive, he shakes Lucio, telling her to wake up because she is literally drooling all over his hand. Snapping awake, she groggily asks if they made it back. He nods. Then she realizes they are already parked right outside the house. Hopping on the radio, she actually thanks him for the fun day. Hajun looks completely stunned. Why the sudden mood shift? Oh right, the job is over. Time to split up. Smiling softly, he admits it was nice having her around even if she talked way too much. She yells to shut up and stop ruining the moment. He replies that he is just being honest. The second they get inside, both swear they never want to team up again. Still, Hajun secretly never expected they'd actually vibe this well. Right on cue, Hephaestus appears. The client loved them, so he suggests they should totally just become permanent delivery partners. The two just stare at each other, genuinely considering it. Then they headbutt each other, yelling they would only do it if absolutely everyone wanted it. You remember that chaotic headbutt, right? Well, fast forward with me. Our boy is finally sleeping peacefully in his room until someone suddenly calls his name. He jolts awake to Lucio, aggressively shaking him, demanding he get up right now. He screams, asking why the heck she is suddenly in his room. Covering her ears, she pouts why yell at poor Lucio. Did he seriously forget they are official partners now? That sparks a flashback. When he tried to refuse, giant Hephaestus literally started sobbing, claiming it was the first favor he ever asked his kid, so Hajun caved. But being her partner wasn't even the real issue here. Now he has to live with this walking headache. He groans, asking why she woke him up. Lucio points out the annoying noise won't stop. Utterly confused, he grabs his buzzing phone. It's a brand new delivery notification from Mangok. Now watch this next part closely. He checks the flooding notifications, and suddenly the hilarious reality hits him. Normal Chinese food deliveries across the city. The guy making literal millions of dollars is back to earning $5 a trip. He suddenly remembers it's been a whole week since this madness began, right back when that crazy lady ordered while on the toilet. Seeing his face drop, Lucio asks if he is okay. He waves it off, saying don't worry. Lucio is not letting this go. She aggressively grabs his shirt, demanding a proper explanation right now. Before he can even speak, the phone rings again. He freezes. It is his old delivery manager calling. The second he answers, the guy explodes, screaming about orders piling up and demanding to know why he isn't working yet. Turns out Mangok is his old terrible delivery job. The angry boss brags about being nice enough to end his suspension early after just one single week. He yells that our main character hasn't learned his lesson. If he doesn't start driving right now, he is permanently fired. But Hajun totally snaps. He tells the guy to just go ahead and do it. He literally doesn't care anymore. The shocked boss asks if he's crazy, but Hajun keeps fiercely pushing back. Lucio hilariously pulls out a scouter, announcing his rage level just broke 40,000. Then the meter shatters. The boss threatens to blacklist him everywhere, but Hajun just doubles down. He still does not care. Hajun hangs up on the bald manager, and that's where we leave it. Trust me, you will want to see what happens next. Let's jump right back into the madness. Lucio asks if he's actually okay. Smiling, he brushes it off. Time to eat. Over at the guild, Sejun is absolutely losing his mind. They still haven't tracked our guy down. Ojang reports back they swept every single street on the list but came up totally empty-handed. He figures their target already knows he's being hunted and is laying low on purpose. Sejun just sighs, saying he gets the picture. He's got enough on his plate, and this mystery guy is just another massive headache. Should they keep hunting? Nope, not worth wasting any more manpower on a ghost. Then he pivots, asking about the Busan situation. The update, honestly, it's pretty awful. 6A-rank hunters went in but completely failed to close the gate. In 5 days, it turns into a full-blown dungeon. Sejun just nods. Understood. Rewind 1 month. A gate randomly spawned inside an abandoned building. The association tossed the job to his guild. He knew it'd be tough, but 6 top tiers failing, wild. Suddenly a smirk creeps onto his face. This might actually be perfect. He immediately orders Suil to prep the main squad. They are moving out. Pay attention here. Sejun is about to remind the whole country exactly why his guild is ranked number 1. Meanwhile, our MC is absolutely destroying a spicy cup noodle. He jokes it'd be perfect if he could have seen that manager's face after calling him bald and hanging up. Lucio, sitting right across the table, declares they have a massive problem. She's never tasted anything this incredible, and now she's completely addicted. He warns her not to spill it, but she just keeps raving about the perfect, spicy flavor. Human food is basically magic to her. It hits him she's honestly missed out on so much in life. He laughs, reminding her it's literally just instant ramen. Nearby, random people start whispering, pitying the poor girl who's never even tried cheap cup noodles. Given her tiny size and his exhausted look, everyone totally assumes he's a struggling single dad. Our MC definitely didn't see that misunderstanding coming. Later outside, Lucio is completely stuffed. He gently wipes her face, sighing that he warned her about eating too much. And suddenly it clicks. She feels way less like a fierce partner and a lot more like his adopted daughter. Passersby keep whispering about how tragic it is for such a young guy to be raising a kid completely solo. Catching all the neighborhood gossip, he realizes something. If Lucio is officially sticking around, his cramped apartment just isn't going to cut it anymore. He mutters that moving could be smart. She instantly hypes up, agreeing that literally anywhere beats his depressing little fish tank of a room. If they're upgrading, she demands they live in that giant castle. She points straight at a massive ultra-luxury apartment high-rise. Squishing her cheeks, he laughs and says she has absolutely no clue how insane the rent is there. Cheeks puffed, she demands to know what happened to all his pyramid loot. and right then he suddenly remembers his massive point balance. The guy is sitting on over $1 million, so wait, it's actually possible. It might really be time to buy a home. Can you believe this? Lucio is already hyped, and just like that, our broke delivery boy is officially luxury apartment shopping. The place is brand new and looking pristine. He chats with the real estate agent and finds out they can move in within 2 weeks. The agent keeps rattling off all the fancy details, but Henley quickly cuts him off. Everything's fine. He loves the vibe, but logically wants to tour a few more spots. He calls Lucio to leave, but she whines, asking why they can't just pick this one. Scooping her up, he says the final choice isn't made yet, so they're leaving. Suddenly he glances over. He definitely recognizes that passing girl. Fast forward and Lucio is stuffing her face with more delicious instant noodles. Pausing mid-bite, she looks up and asks why he isn't eating anything. He's way too distracted, staring at the signed contract, completely drooling over buying a home on day one. Turns out, after viewing other spots with the agent, he just went back to the first place. It was brand new with a solid price tag. Still, his mind keeps drifting back to that girl leaving the building. Then it clicks. He saw her before at the Tartarus dungeon gate. So she's a high-level hunter too. He figures she didn't recognize him because his helmet was covering half his face anyway. But something way more important is bothering him. Why haven't any new delivery requests popped up? Lucio shrugs, saying they just did one. But he points out that was 2 whole days ago. She thinks that's normal, but he's used to getting daily missions. She tells him to drop the greedy mindset before it causes trouble. Besides, shouldn't he have plenty of cash saved up by now? He quietly mutters that she was totally right. Until yesterday. Before closing on the apartment, he had about $199 million ready. But that massive down payment instantly swallowed $12 million. Adding up future installments, buying new furniture, and supporting 2 people, he suddenly realizes he spent way too much money. Lucio is absolutely stunned. That pharaoh loot could have bought a literal castle in the divine realm. He sighs. Nothing he can do. Central Korea's real estate market is just brutal. So, what do you and I learn from this? When you're broke, you budget. Which means no more expensive suites for Lucio for a long while. Alright, you and I are back. Her face completely drops, but then an idea strikes. Why doesn't he just go door to door hunting for jobs? There is 0 rule saying they have to wait for work. They could just ask Hephaestus, who needs deliveries. He ruffles her hair. She is actually smart. The only problem is getting to Olympus. She assumes he goes constantly, but Lee explains he only gets a ticket there when a delivery teleports him in. Lucia instantly looks completely crushed. Cut to a helicopter carrying teams 1 and 2 of the Young One Guild. 45 hunters are deployed, including rank 2 Aron Beck and Song Jin. He reminds everyone their absolute priority is the brand new gate. They need to shake off past failures and reclaim the guild's glory. The crew cheers and they fly. Inside, he asks if she is certain the motorcycle guy moved next door. With her insane memory, she nods. She cannot be 100% sure, but it is highly likely. After blowing massive resources hunting this dude down, he might literally be living right next to her. He double checks. She confirms. Well, at least Team 1 has an easy lead now, so they can just focus on clearing the gate. Now pay attention here. Aron realizes this guy soloed the 8 trigrams and she is absolutely hyped to fight him. Back at the forge, our guy arrives without a delivery. The whole place is totally dark and closed. Lucia panics, begging to leave before they get punished for straight-up trespassing. He brushes it off since she taught him the route. Still, she insists breaking and entering is super rude. He spots the hypocrisy instantly, considering she called this forge owner an old hack before. Suddenly, a foot slams onto his back, demanding to know who dared trespass today. It is just Hephaestus. Lee greets him calmly, but the god says he never ordered any packages. Lee says he actually came to ask a tiny favor. The dwarf demands answers, but our boy first whips out a bribe. When asked what it is, Lee proudly presents a brand new bottle of cold soju. Since the old guy loved beer, he figured this new stuff would hit perfectly. Hephaestus acts tough, then instantly caves. He tells Lee to ask away. Lee begs for any god who might need a courier. The dwarf strokes his beard. A few names pop up, but there is a major catch. These jobs are insanely dangerous. Lee does not even blink. He will do anything over being broke again. Hephaestus grins, deciding the kid is ready, and fires up the teleporter instantly. A blue flash erupts. Lee tries asking who the client is, but bam, he is suddenly standing deep in some random thick forest. I know what you are thinking, terrible idea. Then the system suddenly screams. Danger detected. Lee snaps around, meeting a glaring red eye. A massive 3-eyed demon boar is charging hard. He braces for impact, knowing he cannot dodge. Suddenly, an arrow snipes from the bushes, drilling the beast's head and dropping it instantly. He spins around, totally baffled. What just happened? Is that giant thing actually dead? Then a familiar blue light pops out, cheering that they almost became boar pancakes. He had 0 clue. Lucia tagged along. She teleported the exact second he vanished. He is amazed he one-shot a terrifying beast. Still shaking, Lee admits he totally did not kill it. A voice behind them says it was his kill. An old guy appears looking so weird, Lee simply cannot stop staring. The man is surprised to find a human and a nymph out here. Upper half human, lower half, literally a horse. His phone buzzes. Yep, this centaur is today's crazy client. The old man notes, nobody survives this forest, demanding to know their true names. Lucia spots the centaur's busted leg, grabs Lee, and whispers she knows exactly who this is. Jason, leader of the Argonauts. Achilles from the Trojan War. Even Hercules. All of those absolute legends were trained by this guy. This is Chiron, the master of heroes. But hearing Hercules makes him draw his bow instantly. With his arrow ready, he furiously demands if they know how much agony that name brings him. Lee waves his hands, screaming they are not with Hercules. Hephaestus sent them. Chiron pauses, then unleashes an arrow storm, roaring that they are lying fools. Thankfully, Lee's upgraded gear lets him barely dodge while the forest gets shredded. That is where we leave it. Inside, they finally explain the crazy misunderstanding. Stick with me on this one. Chiron finds this interesting. Hephaestus wouldn't just send anybody over. Still, looking at this kid, he doesn't exactly scream legendary hero. But hey, he's traveling with a nymph, and even famous heroes rarely got backup. Meanwhile, Lee quietly asks Lucio why Chiron is still doubting them. She shrugs, having absolutely no clue. Wasn't this guy supposed to be nice? Finally, Chiron decides to trust them, and both sigh in pure relief. He asks if they can actually retrieve anything. Our guy says almost anything, so Chiron bites. Handing over an empty jar, he points north to a massive lake. The mission: collect saliva from the fool living near the water. Simple, right? He grabs the jar, completely freezing at the word saliva. Wait, is this centaur seriously asking him for spit? Chiron nods. Yup, that is exactly what he wants. He asks if there's a problem. Lee thinks this is a total invasion of privacy, but agrees fast. Hey, no way, he skips a paying gig. Watching them leave, Chiron thinks the kid is an absolute idiot for lacking fear. But honestly, it makes for a pretty solid test. If he survives this, the next target is the frozen mountain. A zone literally no human should ever clear. Honestly, Chiron doubts he'll even make it halfway there. And then Lee activates his suit and rockets into the sky. Chiron just stands there, stunned, as our guy blasts off carrying Lucio. After practicing so much, he handles maximum speed perfectly all the way there. The flight is super fast, and seconds later, they touch down. Powering down, he has 32 seconds of flight time left. Lucio, meanwhile, is dizzy and ready to hurl. Inside, Lee says they just need to grab the spit, but they keep walking, finding absolutely nothing. He spots Lucio breaking into a cold sweat. She shakily claims she is an elite warrior, scared of nothing. Drip. A single drop of liquid hits the floor. Lucio screams, but Lee tells her to chill. Just a drop. Watch closely. It's not like a monster is appearing right now. Then he senses movement. He turns to face a massive 36-headed serpent. The legendary Hydra. Good news, getting spit will be super easy. Bad news, that thing is completely broken. Back at Chiron's place, he wonders where the kid went. He assumed he was mortal. Even with weird skills, reaching that mountain so fast should be entirely impossible. Catching sight of the launch crater, Chiron uses a skill to check. Yep, the kid actually made it there. He preps to jump over, but his bad leg slows his momentum. Leaping off anyway, he thinks going inside is pure madness. That cave literally houses an immortal beast. Meanwhile, Lee forces a smile. Or well, tries to. The odds of death are way too high. Instantly, he runs for his life, carrying Lucio, cursing Chiron for the trick. Soon, the massive Hydra scans the dark area, hunting them. Hiding behind a rock, he whispers they just need to wait until it sleeps. But a trembling Lucio knows the truth. This beast is a Hydra. She angrily asks why he ever took Chiron's crazy request. He snaps back that he wouldn't have if the centaur told the truth. Tricked him. With his helmet, maybe he'd stand a chance. But right now, completely exposed. Then ding, system window. Emergency teleport service is suddenly available. Not to move him though. For 5,000 points, shop items warp right to him. You and I both see the scam. 5,000 points to deliver an 800-point helmet. But whatever, his life comes first. Gritting his teeth, he pays. The helmet appears. A shocked Lucio asks how it materialized from nowhere. Lee sighs, saying the only thing vanishing was his cash. Slapping on the cursed helmet, he yells open wide. He marches straight at the beast. Lucio panics, screaming if he's lost his mind. Reminding him the exit is the other way, he replies he knows. But he's handling this. Lucio screams this isn't some baby mob, it's the real deal. A god's child. Its venom is so lethal that even Olympus fears it. Our guy smirks. If Typhon is her dad, he had awful taste to make a daughter this ugly. Lucio begs him to stop joking. This thing dwarfs the Sphinx. He tells her to wait outside, promising he'll be fine. Storming off angrily, she yells that she hopes the Hydra's venom burns his skin right off. Left alone, he thinks that curse was way too harsh. Still time to handle the boss. Helmet activated, he steps up. The Hydra seems asleep, with eyes open, toxic venom dripping everywhere. He readies the jar, but as venom hits the floor and melts rock, he realizes any normal container will get completely destroyed. No clue why Chiron wants this. That's where we leave it. The whole cave starts violently shaking. Alright, stick with me here. You and I are about to watch this entire cave collapse, and our guy has zero clue why. Even worse, he drops the container. Oh yeah, massive trouble. His hand is literally touching the massive Hydra's eye. How the heck is he supposed to grab its saliva now? The terrifying beast stares right through him, and he almost screams out loud but keeps it locked in his head. Total silence. He slaps a hand over his mouth, desperately telling himself to chill. As long as that helmet stays on, he is completely invisible. But then a voice suddenly asks what's going on. It catches a whiff of rotting underworld spirits, a scent it hasn't smelled in forever, and asks if he's from Tartarus. Hyun freezes. She found him by smell. The voice tells him to chill already, knowing he's using the Hades helmet to play hide and seek. The act is totally busted. Our guy stays frozen as she demands to know why he's here. Cold sweat absolutely drenches his back. There is no way he can admit he's here for a spit sample. The massive snakeheads keep boxing him in, and one huge head guesses Hades sent him. The head starts squabbling like crazy. Finally, the main voice demands an answer, asking why he's totally silent. He better not have dragged himself all this way just to wake her up. Panic mode. He yanks off the helmet and pulls a massive lie, claiming he traveled all the way from Tartarus just to check on her. That actually stuns her. She guesses Cerberus sent him, and the Hydra instantly agrees. Super awkwardly, he nods, saying Cerberus hadn't seen her in ages and wanted an update. The Hydra scoffs. She never thought that little jerk actually cared about his older sister. Over 1,000 years of silence, and now this. Now pay attention here. You and I both know this Hydra is incredibly deadly, so he stays sharp. Meanwhile, outside, Lucio is on the verge of tears and absolutely furious. She firmly believes Hyun can't solo a freaking Hydra, so she sprints down the mountain to get immediate backup. Halfway down, she bumps into Chiron, who wonders why she's flying solo. She screams that Hyun is fighting. The Hydra Chiron is completely floored, never expecting the kid to dive that deep. She begs for a rescue, but he admits even a literal god couldn't easily win. Lucio freaks out, demanding a plan. Chiron is kicking himself, realizing he should have sent the kid packing instead of testing him. Sighing heavily, he tells her to lead the way. He absolutely refuses to let the boy die on his watch. Back to the cave. Hyun is mind blown. The mighty Hydra has a human form. She totally gets his shock. Being locked up down here seals away her true monster body. Even her brother hasn't seen this look. Hyun connects the dots. Brother definitely means Cerberus. Her voice softens, asking how her little bro is holding up. Hyun says he's doing great, eating 3 square meals, working hard, super happy. Obviously, he totally skips the part where Cerberus is Persephone's pet. The Hydra smiles, completely relieved. Hyun quickly wraps it up, trying to escape while he can. But the second he turns around, she tells him to stop. Instant freeze. He warmly declares that her brother's guest simply cannot leave empty-handed. His muscles instantly lock up as he stiffly promises that a gift really isn't necessary. Way too late. She insists, flicks her tongue, and offers him a glowing, odd-colored scale right off her back. He hesitates, completely confused by the massive flex, but she tells him to relax. Her scales pack insane magic for his journey. It's basically like Wukong's hair. Okay, now he is totally sold. Can you believe this? He wants the epic loot, but he's half terrified she might turn him into solid stone. Just to be safe, he fires up his suit for a split second and yanks the scale. Problem is the suit absolutely glitches out on short bursts, face planting him into the dirt. He's grinning with the crystal in hand, but the Hydra looks highly offended. She narrows her eyes. He's acting way too bold, so maybe she shouldn't let him leave. Oh boy, challenge accepted. Hyun jumps up, panic apologizing. Meanwhile, Chiron arrives, shaking as he processes the scene. He completely loses it. Did this kid actually defeat the Hydra? His sensors show our main character glowing with energy while the monster looks defeated. Lucio leaps off Chiron and tackles Hyun with a massive hug, crying happy tears. He shoots her a glare, scolding her for not waiting safely outside like he ordered. She pouts, admitting she was terrified. As they bicker, Chiron is just flabbergasted. A human beating a beast that Hercules struggled against. Hephaestus seriously sent an absolute prodigy. Hyun casually apologizes to the beast. She brushes it off, asking if the loud nymph is his girlfriend. He instantly denies it. She's just a crazy neighborhood kid. She smiles at their dynamic greeting, Chiron. And that's where we leave it. Trust me, you and I definitely want to see what's next. Stick with me here. He looks incredibly old. Maybe time beat his immortal body, or her venom finally broke him. Hajun is totally clueless about their past. Lucio just laughs at him, saying their legendary drama is actually super famous. It involved Hercules, a deadly arrow dripping with Hydra venom, and Chiron losing his immortality forever. Officially just a tragic accident. During that chaotic battle, centaurs were dropping left and right, and Chiron took a poisoned arrow straight to the leg. But maybe it was no accident at all. Honestly, it was probably karma for training an absolute monster like Hercules. Standing before Zeus, someone called him Chiron the Wise, asking if he was absolutely sure about throwing away his immortal life. On his knees, he practically begged Zeus to end his endless agonizing pain. Zeus hesitated for a second, then finally agreed. As a reward for training legendary heroes, Zeus promised him a literal constellation. Chiron was totally confused, but Zeus just said he would not die. He said he would understand eventually. The centaur tried to argue, but the god had spoken. That exact day, the wise teacher died, and he ascended as a divine being ruling Sagittarius. He officially became Chiron, the legendary myth. Cutting back to the cave, the Hydra smirks. Her venom is a guaranteed death sentence, so she is honestly shocked he is still breathing. He is basically burning all his godlike power just to survive. Chiron, groaning in pain, fires back that her attitude is still absolute garbage. He threatens to slice it off. She just grins, mocking his surprisingly trashy vocabulary. She remembers him being such a gentle guy. Then she totally ignores him, turning to our main character to ask if he is Hajun. He nods, deeply lost in his own thoughts, when a sudden bright flash blinds them completely. Then she holds up a tiny glowing vial. She knows exactly why he is here. Chiron sent him for her saliva. Our completely baffled boy asks if she knew this all along. She laughs out loud. Obviously, he reeks of Chiron. She tells the old centaur to come grab it, but he freezes up. He demands to know her price, absolutely certain she never does charity. The Hydra just sighs dramatically, complaining that everyone treats her like pure evil. But get this, she reminds him she never poisoned him. Hercules did. Hajun is mind blown. This ruins the entire historical myth. Hearing the raw truth leaves him completely speechless. The Hydra casually holds out the vial, saying she waited ages for him to finally take it. Chiron hesitates for a second, snatches it up, and downs the whole thing immediately. Now watch closely. Is this a trick? His entire body suddenly bursts into flames, and the venom looks like it is spreading way faster. His eyes roll back and he crashes hard. Hajun totally panics, screaming at her, but then he hears someone laughing. Chiron is on the floor, crying with pure joy because his leg finally feels completely normal. For 3,890 years, he suffered in the world of mythical creatures. He totally forgot what living without constant agonizing pain even felt like. The Hydra actually pats him gently, saying that must have been absolute torture. Hajun and Lucio immediately rush over to check on the big guy. Fast forward to the house of Chiron. They are sitting around super annoyed, wondering why he is taking forever. Hajun starts whining, but Lucio snaps at him to stop doubting an incredibly honorable guy like Chiron. He instantly deflates, realizing he honestly did not even earn a reward since the Hydra literally handed it over freely. Doubting he knows he has absolutely no valid argument here. Suddenly, Chiron opens the door, apologizing for the massive delay, saying his search took way longer than expected. Our boy opens his mouth to complain, but Lucio violently covers it, saying they did not mind waiting. She notices he was searching for his epic bow. He admits it was originally crafted for Hercules, but now he believes it fits Hajun way better. Being a complete idiot, our guy mutters that he prefers system points, assuming this old centaur just sucks at giving out loot. Figuring it is just trash gear, he grabs it anyway. But right at that moment, the door slams open. You and I both know this is bad news, right? A guy barges in apologizing, and Lucio recognizes him. That massive sword makes his entrance absolutely epic. It is Ares, the god of war. Totally clueless, Hajun mutters, this guy is just the biggest troublemaker in Olympus. Panicking, Lucio warns him to shut up. Ares is the god prince, son of Zeus and Hera. Ares mentions how weird it is seeing a puny mortal hanging with a nymph. He demands to know if he is Hajun Lee, and our boy agrees. Ares suddenly charges, shouting that he finally found him. Hajun completely freezes, but then the war god just drops straight to the floor. The literal god begs for help, leaving Hajun totally speechless. At 27, our guy became the very first human to make a god kneel. Later on a train, Lucio is amazed, calling this metal car crazy fast. Annoyed, he corrects her that it is a train, not a car. He harshly tells her to quiet down because of the public crowd. Our boy is absolutely exhausted, getting dragged into another wild job right after finishing one. Suddenly, a system alert pops up on his phone. Minus 100,000 coins from Chiron, but wait, plus a 100,000 bonus. All his tiredness instantly vanishes, even when a grumpy passenger yells at them to be quiet. Lucio laughs it off, and Hajun honestly does not even care. He just made $1.5 million, but that is where we leave it. Trust me, you are going to want to see this insane next mission. Alright, stick with me. You and I are about to see how desperate a god can get. Back home, our guy asks about the mission. Ares admits his sponsored hunter is literally destined to die today. Hagen just sighs. Why cannot the god do it himself? Lucio chimes in, explaining that direct action breaks causality laws. Chiron backs her up. Deities absolutely cannot mess with mortal lifespans. Even the almighty gods cannot just rewrite fate. But Ares is sweating bullets. He claims this case is different. This hunter absolutely cannot die. Why? Because he bet everything on him. See, gods can dump their points into myth-tier hunters to boost their power. The more famous the hunter gets, the richer the god becomes. But if the guy dies mid-quest, the sponsor loses every single invested point. Chiron calls him a complete lunatic for risking it all on one guy. Yep, the god of war is a massive gambling addict. Now he is literally shaking, begging for a bailout. Because get this, he did not just blow his own stash. He secretly gambled his dad's points. Hagen and Lucio just freeze. Because if he used his dad's stash, that means he blew through Zeus's entire fortune. Cut to the train ride. Our main character mutters that he is no miracle worker. How exactly does he bodyguard a literal mythic tier hunter? Still, since Ares is absolutely desperate and paying up the final reward has to be completely massive, Lucio asks about their destination, so he flashes a ticket to Busan. Meanwhile, inside a dark cave, dead monsters are scattered absolutely everywhere. Now pay close attention here. Tongjian screams to get ready. The next wave is approaching, and the entire guild braces as beasts flood in. Tongjian shreds through the horde with zero effort. So this is the guy pumped full of mythic points, slicing monsters into absolute ribbons. But no matter how many drop, the waves keep pouring in. Tam, the future female lead, is right there beside him, completely wrecking monsters too. Tongjian demands a status update. She quickly reports that the back of the cavern is secure for the moment. He orders the squad to catch their breath. They all collapse. When the leader asks about the boss, a scout confirms the door is straight ahead. They took heavy hits, but clearing this much ground in half the usual time. That is genuinely insane progress. Tongjian mentions that even rank 6 hunters ran from this place. So whatever is waiting inside must be an absolute nightmare. A teammate warns it is a 10-meter-tall beast. Fighting it fresh was possible, but right now, the whole squad is completely running on fumes. Tongjian praises their smart retreat earlier. He stands up stretching. Time to finish this up. He just really wants to go home and crash. The squad finally stops at a massive iron door. The boss is definitely inside. As it groans open, Tongjian orders the heavy tanks in first. They step into a cavern bigger than anything they have seen so far. But strangely, it is completely empty. Everyone just looks around, totally baffled. They know this is the boss room. Suddenly, weird liquid drops splash right onto Erin's outfit. We all knew this was a trap, right? She looks up. Pure horror hits her face. She screams at everyone to run, but it is way too late. A massive tsunami of purple sludge crashes down. Tongjian screams her name as several poor adventurers get violently dragged into the shadows. Furious, he grabs the informant, demanding to know why this completely contradicts the scouting report. The guy just starts shaking uncontrollably. Suddenly, gross tentacles burst straight out of his mouth. He whispers that he brought Mother everything she asked for. It was a complete setup. A colossal jelly beast hangs from the ceiling, covered in creepy eyes and squirming tentacles. Cut straight to a bright sunny beach. Hagen and Lucio just stare at the swirling portal he needs to enter. He is supposedly saving a mystery target. Come on, we already know exactly who needs saving. Lucio crosses her arms, annoyed she cannot tag along. He tells her to drop it. This gate is literally second only to Tartarus. He gets why she is worried, since he nearly died yesterday. But honestly, he only brought one protective helmet. Then an idea hits him. He pulls out cash and tells her to go buy literally all the sweets she wants. Lucio violently throws the money right back. She is not some cheap sellout. He shrugs, mentioning it is a shame since that cash could buy 50 whole pieces of candy. Her expression instantly flips the literal second that massive math hits her brain. While she is paralyzed by candy dreams, he steps right into the swirling portal. He tells her to shoo away any strangers. One blinding flash later, he is inside. Great, another creepy cave. He steps on something seriously squishy and grosses out. Then he spots a massive pile of dead monster bodies ahead. Now he totally gets why the hunters are dying. There are just way too many freaking monsters down here. Bad news, he is stuck here too and has to fight through the mob. His trusty bike would make this a total breeze, but it is gone, and his combat suit is still on cooldown. Barely 10 seconds inside, and he is completely out of ideas. Suddenly, the system shop pings, a friendly reminder that emergency purchases are available. His eyes light up with pure hype. But then he checks the price tag. Summoning the bike costs 100,000 points. Are you kidding? What kind of motorcycle costs 1,000,000,001? As he loudly complains, someone sneaks up right behind him and asks what is wrong. He jumps out of his skin, accidentally smashing the buy button. Yep, it is Lucio. She bluntly states she was never letting him do this solo. Poof. 100,000 points instantly vanished. Panicking, he demands to know why she followed him inside. He literally just banned her from coming. Lucio just smirks. Hagen starts yelling at her until a bright light flashes right beside them. Trust me, you and I want to see this. Lucio points, and boom, the motorbike actually spawns in. But wait, that is not his old ride. He snagged a brand new model. Now, strap in, you and I are diving straight into absolute chaos. Tossing Lucio on the back, he floors it. Meanwhile, nasty purple slime drops inside the boss room. Seongjun finally gets it. This was a trap. Everyone else is completely tangled in thick, gross tentacles. Desperately searching for a rescue plan, a massive strike drops from above. He barely dodges, returning a wild storm of slashes. Strikes rain down from literally every angle. He knows his luck is going to run out fast. How do you even hit a giant slime stuck to the ceiling? Total garbage intel on this dungeon raid. Even worse, mind-controlling monsters are basically unheard of. If this ugly thing escapes the gate, the whole world is screwed. It ends right here. Suddenly, the unconscious Iron snaps her eyes wide open. In a flash, her blades shred the tentacles completely apart. Seongjun sprints over, totally relieved. He asks if she is okay, and she admits she is dangerously close to her limit. They have to kill this thing now. She dashes straight in, playing bait to rip open a perfect blind spot. Slime blasts rain down, but she weaves right through, driving her sharp daggers deep into its flesh. Direct hit, that is the exact opening Seongjun needed. He unleashes the divine power of Ares Mars punishment. Epic energy explodes, totally consuming the ugly boss inside a massive fire pillar. Honestly, that attack completely empties his mana. That is a legendary mythic class skill. The boss should be absolute toast. It is his ultimate guild leader, Flex, and literally no monster has ever survived a hit like that before. But classic anime logic, it totally survived. Otherwise, our main character would have nothing to do and that giant freaky eyeball would not be glaring right now. Seongjun is completely stunned. Iron screams at him to move his feet and run, but he just mutters an apology and completely freezes up. The boss powers up. He goes full dramatic despair, but do not blink, because here is where it gets absolutely wild. The giant eye swells up. Suddenly, bam, a speeding motorbike smashes right through. Our boy grins wide. Delivery is here. Seongjun and Iron just stare, jaws completely on the floor. Meanwhile, Hajun is super salty. His new 100 coin ride is sticky with slime. Still, you gotta admit, 10 out of 10 entrants. Through the dust, the bleeding guild leaders are utterly baffled. Why did a random biker just crash their lethal dungeon raid? Then a tiny figure steps up. Humans picked a super terrible name. Lucio strikes a cute biker pose, declaring herself the elite pilot. Hunters blink at the weird little girl, totally trying to process this insane situation. Lucio keeps acting dramatic, warning them not to freeze before the mighty Lucio. Suddenly, a massive monster with a giant mouth creeps up behind her. For a split second, Mega Racer Lucio looks like total monster snacks, but Hajun dashes over, rips a dude right from its jaws, and asks what is wrong with them. The half-eaten hunter immediately passes out cold right into Lucio's little arms. Suddenly, Hajun catches a bright flash. He spins around, realizing the giant slime boss is still kicking despite a massive hole in its eyeball. He quickly spots the real boss. Now you and I both know his timing is just way too perfect here. He casually asks who Seongjun Park is. From the rubble, a battered Seongjun raises his hand. Our boy strolls over, circling him like a doctor, checking for major injuries. Wait, this dude looks familiar. Oh right, he saw him back in Tartarus. He absolutely never expected to bump into that exact hunter again. Crazy small world. Seongjun frantically yells at him to kill the beast. Hajun just shrugs. Why should he? Hunters are supposed to slay the monsters, right? He is literally just a humble delivery driver. Plus, his supersuit is totally on cooldown, so he is basically useless in a fight anyway. Iron glares at him, absolutely furious. She accuses him of treating their lives like a game, but our boy just tells her to relax completely. He just means Seongjun needs to step up and finish the raid himself. Obviously, Seongjun thinks that is pure madness. Guy has 0 mana and no blade left, but Hajun simply taps his phone. Special delivery. It is the divine weapon of Ares. Blinding golden light floods the dark cavern, forcing Seongjun and Iron to completely shield their amazed eyes. Seongjun completely loses his mind as a godly greatsword materializes. The literal stuff of ancient legends, the legendary Ender of Wars. Our boy casually turns his back. 5-star rating, his shift is over. But Seongjun screams out, begging to know who sent the blade, and how a normal dude cruises through lethal dungeons. Hajun glances over his shoulder, arm glowing with raw, godly energy. Just call me the divine delivery man. He revs the engine, promising to chat later. Seongjun is totally baffled. Meanwhile, the boss charges up, so what do you and I think happens next? Backed into a corner, Seongjun grips the blade. Do or die. Alright, stick with me here. The second he touches it, red energy explodes. Pure power floods his veins, completely changing his form as he awakens Ares' mythic state. Hajun can only stare at the insane aura pouring off him. The boss charges up its ultimate strike, but Seongjun calm and razor sharp. He readies his stance, realizing that for the very first time he can actually win this. He unleashes Ares' divine power. His sword grows massive, erupts into roaring flames, and he swings. The monster fires back, creating a massive Dragon Ball-style beam clash. Except Songjin definitely isn't Goku. Still, his strike completely crushes the monster, vaporizing it instantly. The massive X-shaped blast lights up the entire cave. As the smoke clears, Hajun is speechless. He didn't just kill the boss, he blew the ceiling off. This guy is an absolute monster. Good thing his power is fading, or he'd be broken. Ares catches the unconscious hunter. Good job, he says, but honestly, he's way more interested in the biker. Back in the city, our boy is starving for real. Even a divine delivery man needs lunch. Meanwhile, the news is already buzzing about the Himbei city gate being cleared. And guess what? They're giving all the credit to Korea's strongest hunter, Songjin Park, or so the media claims. Lying in a hospital bed, Songjin just sighs at the broadcast. Because he knows the truth, without the delivery guy, he was totally dead. Now watch closely, because you and I know this guy is no ordinary person if he's casually handing out literal god artifacts. Suddenly, heavy footsteps echo outside. Doyun bursts into the room, screaming for the guildmaster in pure panic. But the second he spots the boss, he mutters that the jerk barely looks scratched. Then his eyes light up. He heard the boss totally annihilated the monster. Third strongest hunter for sure. He immediately asks about that giant red sword and where the old one went. Broke, Songjin says. Doyun freezes. That blade cost 100 billion. How did it break? Songjin just smirks. The new one is way better. Dropped off by the divine delivery man. Doyun practically starts drooling. Who knows what's going through his head, but Songjin cuts in. He needs a massive favor. He wants Doyun to track down the delivery guy's home address immediately. Doyun asks why. Obviously, the boss wants him in the guild. Meanwhile, back over at Ares' grand temple, Ares swaggers in with a massive grin. Since the kid is back, the sword was delivered. Our boy says chill, it went perfectly. The hunter lived. Ares relaxes, admitting the kid definitely lives up to his hype. Then he invites him deeper inside. Time for a well-deserved reward. The kid just smirks, like he's gonna fall for a trap from Olympus's #1 troublemaker. Lucio chimes in, telling him to show some respect to a prince of Olympus. Hajun suddenly remembers, oh yeah, this guy is royalty. Strolling through the massive temple, our guy takes it all in. Suddenly, Ares stops and tells Lucio to wait. Only Hajun is allowed past this point. Zero explanation given, and our boy just waves goodbye to Lucio. Deeper into the halls they go until Hajun stops dead. The door ahead is massive, literally weighing 3 tons. He asks how they're supposed to open this Hunter x Hunter style gate. Ares smirks, says, just use Nen, and boom, it opens. Inside is just an insane treasure hoard. Everything belongs to the heir of Olympus, the god of war. Our guy instantly asks the value and if he can grab anything. You and I both expected Ares to be cheap, but nope, take your pick. He kneels down, mentions something really special, and pulls out a glowing golden box. June asks what's inside. Ares completely shrugs, he has no clue. Then why give it away? Because even to a god, it's a super rare must-keep item. He might not know its purpose, but it definitely isn't just garbage. It literally came from an Olympus god who called it incredibly precious. Ares is dying of curiosity too, so it's a totally fitting reward. But looking at Hajun's blank stare, it does not look good. He instantly calls it trash. Ares demands he show it, so he pulls out a tiny wooden stick. Ah, the classic joke item that becomes totally overpowered later. Suddenly the scene jumps to a massive ocean. A huge ship cuts the waves, while a guy screams that they have a huge problem. They just ran straight into a siren flock. Yeah, that is definitely a problem. Poor Jason is about to get mind-controlled by their song. Then it jumps back to Hajun, wildly smacking Ares with the stick. And now we're back to reality, with our boy finally waking up. Completely exhausted from a massive nap. So what do we learn here? After grabbing that weird stick, our guy passed out hard, waking up to Lucio, dreaming about candy. He tries waking the cursed child but realizes she is totally wiped out. So he just gently tucks her in with a warm blanket instead. Later on, at a convenience store, he grabs an energy drink and some chocolate. He thanks the cashier, then glances over to his side. A poster catches his eye. The official hunter exam starts in 3 days. Stick with me on this one. He never cared about the hunter life, but hiding his dungeon runs is getting too hard. Might as well join up. Back home, Lucio immediately begs for sweets. He promises he brought the good stuff, but suddenly a glowing system notification pops up. A quest from Hephaestus. He tells her snack time has to wait. Hopping on his brand new motorbike, he pulls up to the blazing forge and greets the dwarf god. The little guy is thrilled he showed up so fast. Our boy casually asks what the big emergency is. Apparently rumors are flying everywhere about how he totally saved Chiron's leg and bailed him out of trouble. Hajin gets super awkward. He had no idea gossip traveled that fast and claims it was pure luck. Then he asks about today's delivery and the dwarf points behind him. A guy walks up and Hephaestus cheers at the perfect timing. But Lucio looks absolutely shocked the second she sees his face. Meanwhile, Hajun, in classic fashion, is completely clueless. The dwarf introduces him, saying this dude is lightning fast when it comes to ocean deliveries. His name is Jason, top guy at Argo Deliveries. And honestly, just like Hajun, absolutely nobody would recognize who this guy is supposed to be. Turns out he is an actual myth sailor from the Argonauts. It sounds completely ridiculous, but apparently this guy is a verified legend, straight out of mythology. Wild right, you and I know that is insane. He introduces himself, telling our boy to call him the Great Adventurer. Basically, Jason runs the Argonauts, a whole crew of famous heroes and travelers. He genuinely thanks our guy for healing his adoptive father's busted leg. Then he asks to get straight down to business, and Hajun agrees. That is when Jason admits his delivery company just hit a massive wall. A massive swarm of sirens set up camp right on their shipping route, blocking everything. Usually, Orpheus handles the siren problem, but he is away on a super long trip, leaving them completely stuck with zero backup plan. So Jason tracked down the great delivery man Hajun Lee. Completely lost, Hajun asks if this guy seriously wants him to fight a bunch of sirens. Jason says yes, exactly. Our boy is totally stunned. Is he delivering packages or slaying mythical monsters right now? Why does everyone treat him like a monster hunter? Jason tells him to hold on and not say no yet. Once he drops the reward amount, he will instantly cave. Bounty, $500,000. That is absolutely insane money. So yeah, Hajun is immediately listening, but Hephaestus drops a reality check. Sirens live in the deep ocean, which is pretty bad news when your only ride is a motorcycle. Our main character totally blanked on the whole ocean part. Still, the dwarf tells him to chill. He already cooked up the perfect magic for this exact problem. Cut to them on a ship, cruising toward the Melodic Isles. Jason points to the danger zone ahead, and Hajun promises he will handle the rest. Jason says thanks, promising to send a rescue boat later. Then our absolute madman just jumps right off the edge and summons Lucio. Hold up, did he just rev his bike? Is that thing a jet ski now? Well, not exactly. Hephaestus actually enchanted his hat with water magic, letting the tires grip the ocean. But Lucio starts panicking. He clearly underestimates how terrifying sirens actually are. He expects cute mermaids, but Lucio screams their singing is pure death. Even Odysseus had to plug his ears just to survive passing by them. Just a few of them could easily destroy a kraken. Hajun casually brushes it off, saying when monsters act up, there is only one rule. You just gotta beat them into the ground. Meanwhile, the sirens spot a human and a nymph approaching immediately, whispering wicked plans among themselves. They slip beneath the waves, fully ready to drown him. Meanwhile, our boy just keeps confidently riding forward. Suddenly, Lucio shrieks a warning. A massive siren bursts out of the ocean, jaws wide open. But before it bites, Hajun viciously smacks it square in the face with his wooden stick. He remembers Ares claiming any gift from Zeus would be an absolutely devastating weapon. So he triumphantly asks the monster how it feels to taste a +99 enchanted weapon. But the siren just blinks completely unfazed and staring blankly back at him. She basically says it felt like a foam pool noodle. I know what you're thinking, Hajun finally realizes. Ares completely scammed him. The stick is total garbage. A bit later, the angry sirens sweep the area, hunting for where their prey vanished. Our duo is sweating behind a rock, using Lucio's helmet for stealth. He whispers, asking what she sees. Peeking out, she confirms the monsters swam the other way. They are safe for now. Turning around, they are staring right at the siren nest. He remembers Jason's advice: do not fight the whole swarm, just assassinate the queen. Kill her, and the rest lose their magic. Lucio cries that it is insane, especially holding Ares' completely useless stick. Hajun grips the worthless wood, muttering how badly he wants to punch Ares. But wait, he still has one ultimate trump card. The system store. Cash fixes everything. A golden orb radiating Zeus's raw thunder materializes. And oh boy, it was not cheap. 150,000 points, roughly $1.5 million, down inside the watery lair. The queen is just relaxing. A minion complains they have not eaten in 10 straight days and begs to hunt, but she sharply refuses. Orpheus, the guy who always ruins their meals, is finally gone. A golden opportunity like this will never happen again. They'll ambush a massive ship. Trust me, we gotta see what happens next. Let's jump right in. She tells them to wait for the perfect meal, and our boy hears everything. He's totally stunned. She's casually planning to wipe out a whole ship. Lucia quickly points out the obvious: Jason's crew is the target. Then Hajun randomly asks if she remembers that black ramen. Of course she says it was absolutely amazing. He promises to buy her the deluxe version if she helps out. Instantly she perks up. She's completely in. He leans in, whispering the plan. She asks if he's sure, since it's risky. But he just takes off his helmet, slaps it on her, and says he's counting on her. He flies off, promising she won't fail him. Now Hajun knows this stealth hat only works within a certain range, so boom, the sirens spot him. He immediately yells, calling them a bunch of dumb fish. The deadly beauties spin around, completely shocked he got inside. They demand to know his entry method. He just turns around, smacks his own butt, and taunts them to try and kill him. The queen, not amused, capture him. Monsters charge and he sprints for his life. But without the helmet, his water breathing is basically running out. Right on cue, he calls Lucia, clinging to his back with the divine orb. He activates it, yelling, "Peace out." The single-use item completely blows the temple apart. The chasing sirens get buried under heavy rubble as everything violently collapses. He only meant to snipe the queen, but running late forced a total party wipe. Jason's route is safe. Lucia celebrates, but pay attention here. Something feels completely off to Hajun. If the queen died, where is the system reward? Suddenly, a monster bursts from the debris, grabbing Lucia's leg. The furious queen demands to know what they did. She screams that she can't hear her daughter's breathing anymore. Hajun screams as Lucia is about to get eaten. He triggers suit stage 2 and charges right in. He smacks the queen across the cheek, yelling to let Lucia go. She spins through the water. Our boy loves stage 2's power, but then she just vanishes. He searches underwater and boom, she appears right beside him and violently grabs his leg. Yeah, super bad. She drags him deep down, promising to pull until his lungs run completely out of air. Hajun panics. Is this game over? He literally just bought an apartment and has so many unused points left. No way he dies here. Time to crush this boss. His great club kicks into absolute overload at 100%. He smashes her head so hard she's left trembling, then follows up with a brutal, relentless combo straight to the face. The beating lights up the ocean. You saw that too, right? Absolute madness. Giant club in hand, he declares justice perfectly served. The sirens are officially finished. Later, at a Chinese restaurant, Lucia is munching away super happily. She calls the fancy food delicious. He smiles, totally glad. From now on, whatever she wants, she just has to ask. He's buying. He knows things got sketchy, but thanks to Lucia's help, they survived and absolutely wrecked those sirens. Of course, he totally flexes that he landed most of the hits. Then he tells her to just enjoy the meal. She earned it. After all, he's sitting on 633,000 points, basically $6 million. Even after dropping 150,000 on Zeus's power, massive profit. Now he's hooked on monster hunting, which totally reminds him of the hunter exam. Lucia asks what that is. He jokes that it's fried pork, telling her to just dip it in the sauce. Keep eating. She loves it so much, he basically tells her the whole massive plate is all hers. Too lazy to dip, she pours sauce over everything. He instantly bonks her on the head for committing an absolute food crime. Later, they get home completely exhausted. She ate a ridiculous amount, and he jokes she went way overboard. Working non-stop, he dreams of a break. But suddenly the doorbell rings. A weird voice asks if he's actually home. Dragging his tired feet, he answers. Outside, a sketchy guy in a mask and beanie asks if he's Hajun Lee. Our boy instantly assumes it's a total creep and slams the door, yelling he isn't buying anything today. The stranger insists, annoying Hajun. Seriously, what door-to-door salesman actually knows your entire full name? Lucia asks who it is. Just a pushy salesman, he says. But the guy keeps pounding, screaming he knows Hajun is the divine courier. Oh, MC is busted now. He opens up and sees Seojin literally holding a massive sword. Hajun asks why he's here. Seojin smirks. It's simple. He's here to recruit him into the famous Yangwon Guild, to a cafe. Seojin says before talking business he has a little reward for the help provided last time. Hajin takes it, boom, 500,000 easy money. Smugly, he acts like there was absolutely no need for that much. Seojin brushes it off. Business time. Join the guild, 200,000 signing bonus, plus 300,000 a year base, plus extra pay. So what do we think? Will he join? Stick with me here, any normal hunter would take that cash. But Doyan already warned him Hajun wasn't even a real hunter. 0 license. Yet somehow this crazy kid was doing deliveries in Tartarus, crushed the 8 trigrams, and accidentally fell into another dungeon. License or 0 license, recruiting this guy means absolute bank for the guild. Songjun is super hyped, but Hajun just apologizes and totally refuses. The guildmaster is so pumped until our guy flat out declines the offer. This idiot was literally talking like it was already a done deal, but Hajun shuts it down again. No deal. Standing outside, a desperate Songjun begs to renegotiate the whole contract. Hard pass. Our boy makes it clear no guilds for him. The leader is completely baffled, demanding to know what could possibly beat this massive offer. He just holds up his phone. The answer, simple delivery gigs. He accepts a random request and boom, a blinding flash hits Songjun right in the face, and the kid just vanishes. Cut to the mountains. Lucia reminds him he was actually supposed to be resting today. Sweating bullets, he groans that was the original plan. He just never expected this crazy customer to be way up on a mountain peak. Normally, accepting a job teleports him directly to the client, but this time the system dumped him at the absolute bottom, forcing a miserable climb. He totally blames Songjun for wasting his precious time on a pitch he never even wanted. Sure, he has high-tech suits with cooldown times, but zero actual powers. Plus, these odd deliveries just pay way better, so Sangjun can dream on. Eventually, they drag themselves to the very top. Completely exhausted, his expression suddenly drops dead serious. Right there in front of them, massive black slimes absolutely covered in creepy eyes. What the heck are these things? Lucia admits she has absolutely zero clue. Then without thinking, he steps right on one of the blobs. Instant bad vibes. It feels exactly like that freakish creature from the dungeon. He asks if it is some mythological beast, but she draws a total blank. Now watch this. Things go totally off the rails. The ground violently shakes. A massive monster rises right behind him, and he assumes it is game over. Suddenly, a golden blur rushes in. One single punch absolutely obliterates the beast. Shocked Hajun hears the guy groaning about being way too old for this nonsense. The heavily scarred man sighs, complaining his body just isn't what it used to be. Clicking his radio, he mentions he has heard a ton about this kid. Our MC is completely stunned by the absolute unit standing right there. Is this the client? Desperate, he begs Lucia to identify the giant guy. Obviously, she knows exactly who he is. It is the legendary hero who cleared the 12 impossible labors given by Hera, the absolute beast who helped the gods destroy the giants, Hercules himself. Embarrassed, the mythic hero chuckles, saying those old stories make him shy. Hajun suddenly realizes, wait, this is the same dude who shot that poisoned arrow into Chiron's leg. Hercules then casually asks if he helped Chiron heal. Super awkward. He admits the Hydra did the work. Hercules laughs, slapping his back so hard it nearly shatters his suit. The legend is still grateful. He confirms Lucia nailed it. He is Hercules, an ancient demigod who currently protects all of Olympus. Skipping the fancy introductions, our duo simply drops their names. Hercules gets right to business, explaining he called them here because he desperately needs help. Help with what exactly? He points toward a dark cave, telling them to look closely. During the giant invasion, that exact spot became a massive monster gateway. You and I both know this sounds wild. Lately, bizarre tentacle creatures have been swarming out, completely unfamiliar to him. He suspects they are literally from another dimension. Hearing this, our guy immediately links it to that terrifying freak from his recent dungeon run. Hercules claims the gig is super easy. Just track the monsters to their source. Suddenly, a wild system mission pops up with a strict 24-hour timer. Fail or cancel, a massive 200,000 coin penalty. Seriously, what the hell? One terrified glance at Hercules' insane biceps, and he instantly agrees to finish it fast. Laughing, Hercules says the kid is exactly how his wife Hebe described. That sparks a crazy memory. Hebe was actually the very first deity who ever opened the door for his beginner delivery. It blows his mind how weirdly connected all these Greek myths actually are. The system chimes in to guide him, but the mini-map looks completely broken. He stares blankly at a massive cliff, asking how the heck he is supposed to cross that. Hercules casually grabs him, telling him to chill. Fast travel incoming. Before Hajun can even scream, the demigod literally chucks him across the sky. Meanwhile, back at the guild, Doyun bursts in, yelling for the guildmaster. Songjun tells him to knock first, but Doyun ignores it, demanding to know how the big delivery boy recruitment went down. Complete rejection. The kid barely even gave him the time of day. Doyun is baffled, considering that kind of insane money would change absolutely anyone's life. Songjun defends himself, swearing the guy literally vanished into thin air. Doyun thinks that sounds pathetic, but Songjun points out facts. After all, Hajun suddenly spawned inside that dungeon exactly the same way. Plus, after all that chaos, Sangjun got a direct message from Ares himself confirming the item drop. Sangjun vows he will absolutely try recruiting him again. Meanwhile, the leader is just chilling there playing video games. Then Doyun notices something wild. The boss's sword still looks completely brand new. Since he got Ares' divine blade, he sold the old weapon for massive profit. The original plan, use all that new cash to recruit our boy Hajun. But yeah, that failed miserably. A Japanese buyer wants it. So what do you and I make of this? Chaos is coming. Stick with me, here we are jumping right in. The leader decides to prep the shipment. Lately, whenever a top-tier item sells, thieves hijack it. And that sword, way too valuable to lose. He thinks about hiring extra muscle, then remembers our boy is a courier. Smiling, he gets a genius idea. Meanwhile, Hercules just yeeted our guy straight into a ravine. He is tumbling through the air, wondering why he had to get launched like a baseball. The system warns he is about to hit the ground. Panicking, he spawns his little motorcycle right in midair. Riding Duke, he dives straight down and crashes hard. Smoke clears. The insane shock absorbers on this bike totally saved him. If not for that, Hercules would have literally gotten them both killed. He slaps Lucio awake since she totally passed out. They survived. But now he has zero clue what he is actually supposed to be finding. He starts whining about this absolute scam of a quest. But then boom, a massive foot slams right onto his back. The entire area quakes. Lucio hugs his leg in pure panic, wondering what is happening. He remembers this exact same earthquake vibe from that dungeon boss. Then, a deep voice drops the name Hercules. Now pay close attention here, this gets wild. He looks back and sees a dude carrying something massive. If he is right, that is Atlas. The guy is an absolute mountain. Our boy cannot believe there is an actual giant down here. Atlas asks if he knows Hercules. Sweating bullets, our guy cracks and admits Hercules hired him to scout the area. The second he mentions the monsters, Atlas just cracks up. Holding that glowing sphere, he mocks Hercules for being so desperate he sent a weakling. But Hajun wants answers. Why is a literal giant down here, and what is with the massive ball? So he bravely asks if Atlas knows about the monster chaos. Atlas sneers. He has zero reason to help him or Hercules. He asks Lucio why the giant is so mad. She is completely dumbfounded, he does not know. This is Atlas the Titan, cursed to hold up the sky after losing the Great War. And who gave him that punishment? Zeus. Hercules' dad. So yeah, major family drama. Hajun thinks Hercules really should have given him a heads up about this beef. Atlas asks if they are done whispering. Our boy freezes, shocked. The giant heard every single word. Atlas bluntly states the earth monsters are not his problem. Great. Now Hajun is trapped in another god-tier mess when all he wanted was to be a simple delivery guy. For some insane reason, he tries acting cute. He literally asks if Atlas can say no to this adorable face. Atlas threatens to crush him instantly. But our boy smirks and says he is not asking for free. You and I both know this is a terrible idea. He offers a blank check favor for the truth. The Titan's face shifts and Lucio panics, calling him completely reckless. Atlas bursts out laughing. A puny human helping a Titan, hilarious. But Hajun just grins and says he might be surprised. The Titan actually considers it. The kid has guts. Fine. Atlas demands just one thing, a golden apple. Bring one back without dying, and he earns the right to know what those slimes are plotting. Lucio instantly screams that it is impossible. She begs him to refuse since golden apples are ridiculously rare. They only grow on Gaia's trees given as god-tier wedding gifts. Before she can finish, he covers her mouth. Then he asks, is that really all you want? He remembers a loophole. Atlas is not a god, but a Titan. Atlas confirms and gives his word. But our boy pushes it, demanding he swear by the river Styx. Break a river Styx oath, and you lose your powers for a while. Impressed by the kid's nerve, Atlas smirks and holds out his pinky. He actually agrees and swears the oath. Hajun whips out his phone with a massive grin. No takebacks now. A golden apple only costs 1,000 system points. Atlas got totally played. He clicks buy and boom, a shiny golden apple materializes instantly. He holds it right up to the giant. Order delivered. Atlas just stares, completely dumbfounded. There is no way this brat is serious. Meanwhile, outside the cave, purple slimes are swarming everywhere. Hercules is just busy smashing every slime in sight, wondering what is taking those two so long. Then it hits him. Did he forget to mention Atlas? He shrugs it off. They will manage. Suddenly, a blue flash appears in the distance. Something is incoming at max speed. It is Hajun literally tearing through the sky as his suit fuses with the bike. He arrives so fast, Hercules is about to hype him up until the front wheel smashes directly into the god's face. Yep, he just ran over a literal god. He stands there looking awkward, but let's be real, after getting yeeted earlier, that was definitely personal. Seconds later, he is groveling on the dirt, swearing it was an accident. Hercules sighs, saying it is fine. A mortal could not hurt him anyway. But Hajun points out his bruised face, says otherwise, especially with his finger all bent out of shape. Hercules stubbornly insists he is fine. Crossing his arms, he says Hajun returned way too fast to learn a single thing. So what do you and I take from this? That trip seemed pointless. Especially since Hercules just realized Atlas is still furious about those apples, which is honestly super low since the guy literally cannot drop that giant sphere. Hercules decides against punishing him since he tried. That is, until Hajun casually drops that Atlas spilled everything. Hercules calls bluff. But then the kid just casually whips out a golden apple, claiming that got the Titan talking. Stick with me, let me show you exactly what happened back in that cave. Atlas was totally speechless, demanding answers. Hajun deadpan says he just bought it with one click from the system shop. Hand it over, hard pass. Our boy straight up refuses, saying he will not get scammed, so the Titan better start talking. The Titan complains about the deal. Hajun just raises the apple ready to take a bite. Back in the present, Hajun smirks. That is how Atlas cracked. Hercules realizes this kid is completely built different. Healing his mentor makes sense now. But honestly, that pure, shameless energy reminds Hercules way too much of himself. Giving up, Hercules demands the intel. Hajun sighs, saying Atlas spoke in weird riddles, so he barely understood it himself. He repeats the warning. Earth splits into 7 parts, and blue flames pop up everywhere. Hercules instantly starts sweating. This is way worse than he thought, exactly as feared. The monsters came from that one cursed dimension. Then it clicks. Hajun is rare a human who can jump between normal and myth worlds freely. Plus, fate somehow dragged a totally ordinary nymph into his mess too. Those three goddesses of fate are brutally cruel. He just cannot grasp why they dumped such a massive burden on some human kid. Now watch closely because this is where our boy pulls the most shameless move ever. Jin just holds out his hand. Like bro, it is obvious. The delivery is complete, so hand over the cold hard cash. Later on, Hercules sits atop the slain beasts. Suddenly a voice pops up asking his honest opinion on the kid. It is Hermes. He waves casually, mentioning he showed up way after they already left. Hercules speaks with total respect. Hermes waves it off, but the big guy refuses to treat a literal god casually. After all, Hermes carried him during the 12 labors. Sighing, Hermes tells him to stop ignoring Ares. Hercules just gives a massive shrug. Ares always picks fights and acts disrespectful, so he straight up blocked him in real life. Hermes just laughs at his terrible social skills, then asks if things are still toxic with Atlas. Hercules snaps back instantly. Zero chance he ever goes down there to apologize to that jerk. Getting serious, Hermes asks if the place Atlas warned the kid about is the exact spot they suspect. Hercules repeats the fiery riddle. Yeah, it matches the prophecy perfectly. Hermes readies his staff to dip, saying they need to start prepping immediately. He offers to warn everyone else, but Hercules shoots that down fast. The kid is clearly the main character here. Hermes just grins. Relax, delivering messages is literally his entire job description. He blasts off, leaving a greeting for the old man. Alone again, Hercules powers up, glaring at the beasts. Time for cleanup duty. Cut back to Hajun. Lucio is out cold, so our boy ruthlessly yanks her blanket away. Half asleep, she mumbles for 5 more minutes. Nope. He barks at her to get moving. Time is ticking. Still totally groggy, she asks why the rush. Hello, it is Hunter exam day. Utterly confused, she remembers the name but literally has zero idea what a Hunter exam actually is. He calls her a moron for tagging along blind. Her excuse: staying home is just super boring. Meanwhile, he is fully packed. Registration check. Supplies check. The trusty wooden bat, obviously check. Lucio shuffles in looking like a literal broom, claiming she is ready. He grabs a cap. Let's move. They arrive to see all these flashy hunters. You and I know he looks average, but under that hoodie totally prepared. A guy with a mic hypes up the crowd, calling the very first numbers to the stage. Candidate 1 steps up, massive axe, ready against 3 goblins. They charge, and boom, he slices one clean in half. Hajun watches. 3 goblins, too easy. Anyone could win that. He instantly figures out the catch. It is all about your fighting style. Number 38 is called. Yep, it is his turn in this crazy Hunter exam octagon match. He plans to just pass quietly. Zero attention. But the second his suit activates, a red-haired scout in the crowd spots him. Oh no. It is that super dangerous woman from the rival guild. We briefly jump over to another guy, absolutely shredding goblins barehanded. The entire crowd goes completely wild for him, but this chip-eating guy says, raw strength isn't enough. What's missing, I guess you and I will find out next time. Blonde next to him agrees. Maybe the true prodigy hasn't even shown up yet. The redhead tells those old guys to just shut up. Honestly, these fighters belong in a second-rate guild. Stick with me here because this is Yan, the wild villain who completely wrecked the Black Dragon Guild. Now she is just sitting there, judging rookies, wondering how her life ended up like this. Just recently, Black Dragon was the second best guild in the entire country. And with that dragon tattoo on her thigh, she commanded some serious power. But after that massive 8 trigram scandal dropped, the guild lost almost all of their support. Now she is stuck scouting newbies, praying for one decent fighter. Then candidate 38 gets called up. Lucio cheers him on from afar while our boy just stands there. He wants to pass, but standing out sounds like a total headache. The goblins rush him while he tries to blend in. Suddenly, his suit's danger sense triggers and he dodges perfectly. He instantly realizes these monsters are way slower than those sirens he fought before. Honestly, he could dodge them blindfolded without the suit. The redhead watches, noting number 38 has some really interesting moves. Plus, something about his vibe feels strangely familiar. He has not even attacked yet, just effortlessly dodging every strike. Eventually, he decides to throw just a single punch, enough to finish them without drawing any unwanted attention. Now, pay attention to this moment. The absolute second his fist connects, the goblin turns to pure dust. She instantly knows exactly who he is, her target. Shortly after, a staff member congratulates him, handing over his new badge. Turns out he scored 3rd highest in history. They guarantee he will become an elite hunter, congratulating our boy once more. Lee Hajun thinks this whole hunter thing was way too easy. Lucio runs over, hyping up his epic fight, then demands they get some food. He grabs his arm, shouting about pork belly. But then someone interrupts. She steps up politely introducing herself to our guy. Flashing those red eyes, she introduces herself as Yan from the infamous Black Dragon Guild. He recognizes her instantly. Total bad news. She praises his flawless fight and asks if he wants to join Black Dragon. Before she even finishes her sentence, he walks right past. Not interested, he says. Stunned, she begs him to wait. He just politely declines, saying he is going solo, but she refuses to give up. A monster like him could save her dying guild, so she frantically offers 5 billion won, about $5 million plus a fat bonus. Hejun stops dead and she grins. He repeats the crazy amount, and she nods. That kind of cash usually wins anyone over. Instead, he looks at her like a total weirdo. Is Black Dragon really that broke? Lucio laughs, calling them super cheap. He just keeps walking. She chases him screaming he will never find a better offer. Hejun calmly replies he already did. Then he drops an absolute nuke. Sangjun's guild offered 20 billion won. She completely freezes. You and I both felt that rejection right. He leaves her totally crushed. Later, the boys hit a restaurant. The TV is already buzzing about a genius new hunter. He is stunned. 1 single hour passed, and he is already famous. He tells Lucio to order and flags the waiter. But before he can even blink, massive plates of food magically appear. It is Sangjun casually praising the fast service. Hejun lets out a huge sigh. Is this stalker going to follow him everywhere? Sangjun smiles, claiming it is purely a coincidence. Just 2 guys grabbing lunch right. Our main character shuts him down immediately. No guild invites. Sangjun tries pivoting, bringing up that insane hunter exam score. Hejun quickly blocks that conversation too, saying his score does not matter at all. He just wants a peaceful, quiet life. Joining a massive guild and getting famous is literally his worst nightmare. Then Sangjun drops a twist. He says this is actually not a guild recruitment pitch. He wants to hire him as the legendary divine courier. A highly classified item must reach Japan in exactly 2 days. The catch: deadly women keep hijacking their shipments. Hejun admits delivering cargo is his actual specialty, though he hates showing off. Still, he gives the guy a serious glare. This pay better be huge. Sangjun simply smiles and tells him to relax. He promises a crazy payout, holding up 2 fingers. Hejun guesses 200 million won. But Sangjun quickly corrects the math. It is 2 billion. Instantly, Hejun slams his head on the table and vows this delivery will be absolutely flawless. While Lucio happily stuffs his face, Sangjun says he completely trusts his elite skills. Meanwhile, we cut to a dark apartment. A mysterious girl tells someone to just give the order. Yeah, this screams bad news. Next up, the boys are standing on a massive cargo ship. Lucio is mind blown while our guy explains this belongs to the Young One Guild. He never expected a job like this. It feels way more like a bodyguard mission than a simple package drop. 2 guards suddenly demand his ID. He flashes his black card. And trust me, you are going to want to see what happens next. Stick with me here. You and I are about to crash a massive transport ship. The guard checks his VIP card, letting them inside, where Lucio admits this boat is huge. Hagen just laughs at how ridiculously proud she is of Olympus. They finally hit a container locked down with crazy heavy security. The sword is definitely inside. I mean, it seriously stands out. The door slides open and he instantly gets why nobody hit it. This thing is locked behind thick bars, heavy chains, and literal maximum security. Still, he finds it weird. Seriously, who would even dare steal something this guarded? Lucio looks shocked, asking if she knows the weapon. Of course she does. It is Durandal, the actual legendary sword. Hagen admits she knows her stuff, instantly cutting her off before she starts bragging. Yeah, he gets it. She is some super special nymph, obviously. Lucio asks what is next. Hagen says they sit tight and guard the sword. Honestly, it is completely boring, but he cannot risk losing a 2 billion payout. Sounds like huge money, but paying for a stolen legendary sword would bankrupt them. A loud horn blows. The massive ship finally sets sail. Watch closely with me. A strange gas floods the container while the armed guards outside stay so weirdly calm. The strange gas hits them hard and they instantly drop. Anyone could easily swipe their weapons right now. Enter our mysterious thief. A dangerous woman in a tight outfit steps up, eyes sparkling with pure mischief. She cheerfully declares Phase 1 a success. Inside, our guy is completely out cold. Suddenly, a sharp flick smacks his forehead. Lucio wakes him up. He jumps, totally shocked he actually passed out. She explains some strange smoke filled the ship, knocking everyone out. He covers his nose fast, guessing it is some high-level sleeping gas. First priority, the sword. Thankfully, it is safe. But honestly, his high-tech suit should have blocked an attack like this. Maybe the thief used some special ability. He rips open the door, only to find a woman standing there literally praying. Seriously, she is begging the gods for the strength to be an honest thief tonight. He knows this girl is ridiculous. Wasting zero time, he opens the system menu. Buying the perfect item secures this mission. Suddenly, the thief dashes. A green flash cuts the air, wrapping a strange rope around her arm. She knows immediately it is magical. It traps her like a spider web. Looking back, Hagen casually jokes about catching a little thief. He bought Raken's rope from the store. A crazy powerful binding tool that actually snaps if you use too much force. Now our little thief is crying on the floor, completely baffled about how he survived her god's special sleeping gas. Just bonks her head, calling her a super annoying thief who asks way too many questions. She claims she is no thief, begging to explain why she desperately needs the sword. But Hagen just smirks. Yeah, he is not falling for that. She is obviously stealing from the guild. She finally accepts the thief label, claiming she only steals what absolutely needs taking. It is all for the greater good, Hagen laughs in her face, so she asks if he knows Robin Hood. She claims to be just like him, stealing from the filthy rich and giving right back to the poor. Neither of them buys this garbage. Hagen says she needs help, while Lucio mutters that old people are just weird. We are all thinking the same thing right now. Hermes. But she screams the god sent her to return that sword to its owner for the massive threats ahead. Hagen looks surprised, and Lucio quietly points out that maybe this crazy girl really is an emissary. Hagen is stunned, while Lucio admits she might actually be a real messenger for that specific god. He thinks she looks way too clumsy for divine work, but tells her to explain these supposed threats. Out of nowhere, she spits a magical orb from her mouth. She hates using it this way, but with zero choice left, she swears he will pay for interfering today. Thick purple smoke blasts across the entire deck. The second it clears, she is completely gone. Already swimming away, she whines about wasting an item, complaining those pills literally cost an absolute fortune. She used a rare astral form elixir to escape. That is all it took. She furiously swears payback on that tight-suited jerk. Honestly though, her own outfit is way tighter. Her name is Su Yin Choi. Reaching the dock, she mutters about losing her precious elixir. Even now, she is totally obsessed with him, swearing she will wipe that smug, arrogant look off his face. A system message suddenly pops up. Mission success. She thanks Hermes, admitting it was super close, but she secured his requested item. She actually managed to steal the Ring of Dissipation, a legendary artifact straight from King Arthur's tales. Hermes demands to know what happened. She explains using his divine gas, but one annoying guy stayed totally awake. The god snaps that is impossible, demanding a name. She describes a guy in a tight hero suit, swinging a mythical binding rope. Hermes asks if a child was there. Stick around you, and I need to watch what happens next. You and I are jumping right back in. She confirms the sky blue-haired girl, shocked the god guessed it. That guy really is important. Ares cuts in, laughing off the wild coincidence. He tells her to relax, that guy was officially chosen. She instantly relaxes, glad they're allies. But then, she stops. A sudden realization hits her. Next time they meet, she's absolutely teaching him some senior respect. Meanwhile, Hagen just bagged his 2 billion won. The guild called it some weirdo, showed up and caused utter chaos. But Durandal safely reached Japan, meaning Hagen's job is totally done. His apartment is completely paid off now. Time to pay Hephaestus a little visit. It's been a minute since they hung out. Plus, he needs to figure out what this rare Hydra scale is actually good for. He knocks on the workshop door. Lights out. Still no sign of the guy. Lucio immediately suggests they just ditch this place and go grab some food instead. But suddenly, someone calls Hagen's name out loud. He spins around and practically jumps out of his own skin. It's Hephaestus. And one look at his face tells Hagen, a seriously dangerous person is here. Hephaestus points to this insanely powerful woman, calling her the divine courier. She just smiles and says hello. He introduces her as Freya, Valkyrie leader, who taught Odin magic, but our MC completely misreads it, thinking his buddy is cheating on his wife. He totally grabs Hephaestus by the collar. Dude, do you think you're Zeus right now? Hephaestus frantically explains she's just a client. Freya laughs out loud, saying Hagen must be pretty bold to assume they were having an affair. The dwarf stays totally chill, while our boy ends up face down apologizing profusely. With that sorted, it's finally time for actual business. He needs Hagen to deliver a letter to Helheim's ruler and investigate some super weird stuff happening over in Valhalla. The deadline, 120 hours. The payout, 500,000 points. Hagen mutters the names confused while Lucio violently shakes. Watch closely, she explains, that's the Norse land of the dead. This mission about to be insanely dangerous. Our guy is rich now, he absolutely refuses to risk his neck. Why die when his bank account is literally stacked? He could retire today and live the good life with Lucio. Hephaestus admits Helheim might be too deadly, but before he finishes, Hagen instantly interrupts. Nope, he is absolutely taking this job. No shot he ever turns down free money. He boldly claims he'll handle it flawlessly. Lucio straight up kicks him for only caring about cash. Cut to the mountains near a freaky green lake. Hagen tears across the landscape on his motorcycle, and the whole vibe feels entirely wrong. Makes sense, this is literal afterlife territory. Lucio groans, saying he only took this job because he clearly doesn't understand how brutal Norse mythology is. He tells her she used to be way quieter. Maybe she should just go back to that. She snaps back that it's his fault. Every delivery with him shaves a full year off her lifespan. In Norse myth, Valhalla takes the glorious fallen warriors. But Helheim, that's strictly for ordinary people and the completely dishonorable. So yeah, no wonder everyone wants to fight out here. You either earn paradise or get an absolute nightmare. He remembers Freya getting regular news from Helheim, so things should be fine, right? He tells Lucio to chill. Honestly, that just makes him more suspicious. 10 minutes until arrival. He's cruising across this crazy narrow bridge, but halfway across, something feels horribly wrong. His chest instantly tightens. The air drops, freezing him right to his absolute core. Lucio says she can't move, and he realizes he's paralyzed too. I know what you're thinking, boss fight. A voice suddenly echoes. Amazing, a living soul crossing Helheim's bridge. Yep, another woman. The giant stares down at them, saying something about them is seriously strange. The girl doesn't smell like death. But the boy, he's already died once. Hagen freezes, begging her to repeat that. Boom, instant tragic flashback time. He's riding his bike through the pouring rain. Delivering in this terrible weather is just asking for massive trouble. His landlord won't stop texting, pay the rent, or get kicked out. Our boy literally has zero choice but to keep grinding. Suddenly, a car brutally cuts him off. He swerves onto the sidewalk, barely avoiding a crash. He's about to scream at the driver, but sees his deliveries completely ruined across the road. Now he's completely screwed and has to pay damages. Staring at his phone, a loud horn suddenly blares. In the blinding rain, a massive truck never even saw him, and just like that, Hagen Lee dies at 27. For some weird reason, his funeral actually used a drooling photo of him. Back in the present, he mutters this giant woman is trying to kill him with shock. She smirks, saying he reeks of rotting flesh. Claiming he never died is literally ridiculous. Lucio thinks the smell stuck from Tartarus, like water nymphs smelling fresh, sea nymphs smelling fishy, and waterfall nymphs smelling like damp moss. Tartarus and Helheim are totally different myths, sure, but both are literal lands of the dead. So what do you and I make of this? He sniffs himself, remembering Hydra smelled spirits on him too. The woman nods, perfectly fitting. Alright, stick with me here. The Guardian heard a mortal actually survived meeting Hades down in Tartarus. If that is really him, he should definitely know who is blocking this passage. Hagen is completely clueless. Honestly, he is still wondering if that random flashback was even real. Lucio, however, knows exactly who they are dealing with. The legendary warrior of wrath herself. She whispers that this has to be Modgood. Modgood smirks impressed, then demands to know their business. Lucio straight up says Freya ordered them to deliver a letter to Helheim. Hearing Freya changes everything. If the goddess sent them, they have permission to cross. Hagen guns the engine before she reconsiders. Modgood watches them go, baffled why Freya chose these two. These guys are heading straight into pure misery. Hagen accelerates, finally closing in on Helheim. Suddenly, an absolute bone-chilling cold hits them. It is totally freezing. Lucio sneezes right on him. He shoots her a massive glare. Super annoyed, Freya left out the whole winter clothing detail. Lucio suddenly remembers Helheim is permanently freezing because dead souls do not feel cold. Hagen demands why she kept that secret. She just shrugs innocently. Does he remember every single thing from school? She tells him to stop whining and shop. Grumbling the entire time, he opens the system store. A baby wolf coat costs 200,000 points. Sure, it provides incredible heat, but paying that much is absolute madness when his motorcycle was only 100,000. Still, zero options. He buys it painfully, dropping 200,000 points. Well, at least 600,000 remain. Tossing it on, he copes by saying he will earn 500,000 back later. Then he looks down. Lucio is totally bundled up too. Smiling, he definitely did not expect it to cover his passenger. He guesses it works like an area effect buff protecting nearby allies. The very next second, he hits the gas. Since the cold is gone, he is determined to finish this fast. Now pay attention, because here is where things go south. They get trapped in a brutal snowstorm. The coat works, but his bike is dying. Even worse, the minimap totally crashes. They are forced to hide behind a giant rock. Lucio warns they will be buried alive out there. He tells her to stop acting so dramatic. He just parked here to check for a signal. This guy is insanely committed to his job. With 41 hours left, he checks the map and realizes they will just barely make the deadline. Lucio nervously asks if he is stupid enough to fall asleep in this blizzard. But wait, she is actually pointing at something super weird approaching them. He peeks around the boulder and feels massive footsteps, literally shaking the earth. He braces for a boss monster. Instead, it is a crazy, muscular dude in a Speedo sprinting right at them. He screams at them to run. Huge wolves are on him. Hagen is absolutely furious. This massive idiot brought the wolves right to their hiding spot. Speedo guy sprints while Hagen revs the bike. He tries shouting a question, but the weirdo gasps out that he cannot talk while fighting for oxygen. Can you believe this? The Speedo dude is literally keeping pace with a turbo motorcycle. Hagen and Lucio are screaming, demanding to know why he dragged wolves over here. The guy casually says he just wanted to say hi to someone. That excuse is absolute garbage. Lucio savagely tells him to turn around and get eaten alone. Just then, Hagen spots a cabin through the raging blizzard. A perfect safe zone. He instantly crashes through the gate and drives inside. The crazy guy begs them to wait up. But seeing those massive fangs, Hagen definitely hesitates. Opening that door means instant death for everyone. So he ruthlessly slams it right in the guy's face. He figures it builds character and survival skills anyway, but the half-naked man screams back that he refuses to die today. Suddenly, this absolute madman clears the 30-meter wall in a single jump. Lucio is speechless. Landing perfectly, he smirks and tells Hagen to relax. A true man overcomes any barrier. Honestly, Hagen is impressed. That cheesy line actually hits him. The Speedo guy strides forward for an introduction, but Hagen instantly shuts him down. No thanks. Completely ignoring the rejection, he proudly announces he is Sigurd, descendant of Odin and a legendary Volsung warrior. Having literally no other choice, Hagen awkwardly says nice to meet you. Sigurd nods, but Lucio is already geeking out. She lights up like a massive fangirl and screams that he is the mythical hero who killed Fafnir. If this nearly naked weirdo actually slaughtered a dragon, his stats must be insane. Lucio calls him the Dragon Slayer. This shameless dude acts all modest, claiming the rumors are totally fake, but Hagen sees right through it. He loves this. Sigurd finally suggests getting out of the freezing wind and heading into the cabin. Hagen hesitates since they are basically trespassing. Sigurd counters that becoming wolf food out here would be way more stupid. Fair point. Hagen checks his map, realizing they are extremely close. So, what do you and I take from this? Resting here is the smartest move. Alright, stick with me here. Settling by the warm fire, Sigurd demands to know why these total strangers arrived. Hagen says he is delivering something far away. Sigurd looks completely baffled. It is his first time seeing a courier in Helheim. Then Hagen casually asks why the famous Dragon Slayer did not just kill those wolves. Lucio totally agrees, wiping them out sounds way easier. But Sigurd drops a heavy reality check. They are in Helheim. Walking inside, Hagen thinks this underworld castle looks shockingly normal. Then Sigurd suddenly freezes as Ganglot appears. Before anyone speaks, this maid already knows they brought a letter from Freya and need an escort to see Hel. Ganglot quickly cuts him off, stating that is already perfectly arranged. Following her down the halls, Hagen whispers, asking if she is a goddess or hero. Neither says Lucio. He has just served Hel forever. Lucio heavily praises Ganglot for her insane loyalty to one goddess, even asking for advice. The maid stays totally silent, annoying Lucio. But honestly, Ganglot is internally screaming over how insanely cute she is. They finally reach a massive door, and Ganglot says Hel is inside. Sigurd backs off, saying his job is done, reminding Hagen to hand over that letter. Walking inside, our boy feels serious nerves. The sheer pressure here hits different than any god before. She rules the underworld. Ganglot formally introduces them to the room. Hel giggles, immediately calling out his weird aura, not dead, not alive. She bets he is the one causing chaos in Helheim. Hagen sweats quickly, explaining he just wants to drop the letter and run. Letter suddenly vanishes, ending up in Hel's tiny hands. Don't blink, because who expects the terrifying underworld ruler to look exactly like this? She instantly demands to know if the contents are true. Hagen just shrugs, totally clueless. He was just paid to deliver it. When he questions her curiosity, Lucio panics, warning him to show some respect. Hel leans back. She actually likes his bravery since everyone else is terrified, so she decides to spill the tea. Valhalla is under heavy attack by invaders pretending to be from Helheim, but she never ordered that strike. Someone else is pulling the strings. Only one mythical race dares to fight against destiny itself. She repeats that exact same riddle, 7 split lands and rising blue flames. She knows exactly who did it. Meanwhile, Hagen feels slightly disappointed this grand ruler is just a tiny girl. No wonder Ganglot acts so extremely protective of her. A bit later, Hel relaxes on her dark throne, checking if they left. Ganglot confirms it, saying she opened a direct portal to send them straight to Olympus. Hel chuckles at Freya's dark humor, sending a mere human down to the dead. But Ganglot quickly steps in to correct her. That guy is definitely no ordinary human. He is the legendary divine courier who literally takes points as his payment. Hel pauses, realizing everything makes perfect sense now. Thanks to him, she finally knows those dangerous creatures actually exist. She orders Ganglot to prep for travel, totally confusing the maid. Hel boldly declares she is going personally. Back over with Hephaestus, he desperately asks Hagen if she seriously said that, hoping he misheard. Hagen insists his hearing is perfect. Lucio backs him up, she heard it too. Freya brings up that terrifying prophecy again about the 7 split lands, admitting she never thought it would actually happen. Hagen asks why everyone is panicking so much. You saw Hercules react the exact same way earlier, right? Freya quickly bids Hephaestus goodbye, promising to grab her item later because this new intel is way too urgent. She honestly wishes she never learned this, but she has to warn everyone. How did things get this incredibly bad without a single god noticing? Someone must be hiding the truth, pulling strings from the shadows exactly like Ragnarok. Suddenly, Hagen grabs her shoulder with a totally blank stare. Is she forgetting something important? Our protagonist absolutely panics, calling him insane for grabbing a goddess. But Hagen refuses to let her walk away unpaid. Freya drops the smile completely. She glares, calling him insolent for daring to touch her. The air turns deadly and Hagen trembles. It is not the cold, it is pure divine pressure. Still, this guy absolutely refuses to leave broke. He literally starts dancing, chanting for money or a riot. Yeah, he is definitely missing some screws. Lucio chimes in, saying studies prove this silly pose boosts payment chances by 99%. Freya just stares, then sighs. She seriously forgot. Boom, our boy scores 500,000 points plus a 250,000 bonus, thanking her instantly. That officially puts his balance at 1 million points. He is basically a millionaire now. Lucio immediately dropkicks his back, calling him a money-crazed maniac. Freya just laughs, but trust me, we love this chaotic duo. Welcome back. Stick with me here because things are getting crazy. She apologizes for getting heated while Hephaestus just sighs at our clueless hero. Hagen just blinks, totally confused. The dwarf waves it off, saying a real man only needs courage anyway. Hagen brings up the Seven Lands prophecy, asking why everyone treats it like absolute nightmare fuel. Even Hercules was scared. Hagen casually drops that he already talked to Hercules, and the dwarf absolutely loses his mind. Why didn't he say that sooner? Hagen just shrugs. Hey, nobody bothered to ask him, plus he doesn't even know how to find this place anyway. Hephaestus pauses, realizing this exactly explains the sudden gods council meeting, the legendary Olympian council. The last time they actually gathered together was almost 400 years ago, so that explains his sudden summon. Hagen tries digging for more secrets, but the dwarf snaps at him to completely forget everything he just heard. Just knowing this much puts a massive target on his back. No more questions. Still, super curious, Hagen wonders why the huge cover-up. Hephaestus tells him this is strictly god-level business. If fate wants him involved, he will find out. But if he likes breathing, he better stop asking around. Honestly, ignorance would have been much safer. Later on, back in the city, Lucio whines for Hagen to unlock the apartment door already. He punches in the passcode and they finally step inside, absolutely thrilled. That sweet, sweet apartment is finally theirs. Looking around the empty space, Hagen thinks it finally feels like home without the old owner's junk. Lucio instantly tries claiming a bedroom, but Hagen boldly calls dibs on the master suite. He absolutely refuses to accept that and demands they settle this like adults rock, paper, scissors. Nope, Hagen grabs her arm saying no way and heads out for furniture shopping. Then someone knocks. He freezes. Now watch closely because you and I know this peace won't last. He opens the door and finds Erin. She is just standing there holding a massive cake. Lucio instantly recognizes the girl from the dungeon run, then it clicks for him. Oh right, she was supposed to move in right next door. Erin lifts up the massive box, declaring it a gift for the divine courier. Hagen asks what it is. She wanted to throw a nice welcome party, but our boy completely shoots her down. He just moved in, so the timing is really bad. The poor girl looks completely heartbroken. Meanwhile, a starving Lucio asks if they really have to eat that. Before Hagen even answers, Lucio snatches the cake and starts fiercely stuffing her face, blaming her intense hunger on him. But the second she actually tastes it, she starts violently gagging. Hagen asks what is wrong. Lucio cries that it tastes like chocolate, dirty puddle water, and straight toothpaste combined. Hagen says that is karma for stealing food. Erin just takes a bite and calmly mentions she always loved mint chocolate flavor. He sits totally relaxed in his place while MC wonders about her real motive. Turns out the guild needs help. Sulligan sent her to talk. Hagen instantly realizes they are trying to recruit him for an investigation. He immediately asks about the payout, but Erin says the guild leader handles the actual financial details. Wanting to avoid Sulligan entirely, Hagen demands a rough estimate. She holds up 2 fingers. 2 billion maybe? Then 2 more. 4 billion. I know what you're thinking. His attitude totally flips. Right, let's talk. To a parking garage. Sitting inside Erin's car, he thanks her, but Lucio is already throwing a massive fit. They were supposed to go furniture shopping today, not take on another dangerous job. Hagen says he's just listening. He swears they will shop right after, but she keeps complaining. The original plan was furniture, then awesome food. That is, until Erin hands over a ticket. Lucio can use it at the famous guild cafeteria for amazing meals. Her mood completely turns around. Hagen looks up, totally blown away by the massive guild headquarters. Makes sense why they are the absolute strongest in the whole country. Soon, Sanjin cheerfully greets him. He apologizes for showing up empty-handed, but Hagen cuts the small talk and says get to the point. He hates wasting time, especially since his partner is desperate to leave. Sanjin nods and tells him to sit. As usual, Sanjin's overly friendly vibe severely annoys Hagen. Then Sanjin reveals the real issue, a full dungeon difficulty re-evaluation. Sanjin says Hagen has actually witnessed this terrifying problem before. Dungeons are suddenly spawning freakish monsters and turning incredibly dangerous. Terrified hunters are refusing to enter, causing a major crisis. If dungeons go, uncleared monsters will eventually flood the streets. Classic dungeon break. Hagen knows exactly how deadly that gets. Still, expecting him to fix this alone is insane. So what do you and I make of this crazy twist, madness? The guild actually wants him to spy on the Red Drake, literally the strongest level 7 monster around. I know what you and I are thinking. Even the elite hunters got crushed. Hagen absolutely loses it, why send a delivery guy? Sanjin tries to play nice, promising the guild will clear the easy mobs. But wait, they also want intel on the Lizard Man, King, another massive boss. Hagen is visibly shaking now. He flat out yells that this 4 billion offer is just a shiny death sentence. Hold up. Sanjin calmly drops a bomb. That is just the entry fee. The actual intel gets him another 4 billion. Hagen completely freezes. 8 billion total. Boom. Handshake, lock, deal sealed. Money talks. Scene change. Meanwhile, an old guy with a golden staff waits by a lake. A horse-headed man finally shows up and the elder calls out his rare tardiness. The orange-haired horseman grunts about running into some nasty trouble. He tosses down a gross purple worm, claiming the place is crawling with them. These things totally do not belong in Norse territory. The old man inspects the creepy bug, shocked they managed to spread this fast. This parasite virus is spreading way too fast. He knew the whole apocalypse prophecy kicked off, just not at this insane speed. The horse guy turns to leave. Odin specifically ordered him down to Helheim because something huge is messing with Valhalla. The elder tells him to chill out. Freya already dispatched a Greek hero who totally took care of business. Was it Orpheus Achilles? The elder just smirks and says no, just a completely average guy like him. Oh, that makes the horseman furious. Who exactly is this random nobody ruining his missions? Just another shiny champion chosen by the Greek gods. Watch closely here because our guy Hagen is grinning like an absolute fool. Money really does fix everything. Cut to the Chunlin Gate, a place he swore to never visit again. Yet here we are. Little Lucio excitedly asks if he has visited before. He says nope, but he survived a whole month somewhere, way worse than this nightmare dungeon. She is completely amazed, claiming nobody survives anything deadlier than this. He just sighs. She has zero clue what his crazy life is actually like, but she is about to get a front row seat. Then he suddenly spawns his brand new version 2.0 bike. Upgrades make this thing massive. This beauty is crafted from insanely rare drops, designed purely for an elite divine courier. Fully custom built, it literally tanks 90% of all rider damage. He admits he made Hephaestus fuse it with some secret extra materials, and honestly, the result is absolutely mind-blowing. The original bike was decent, sure, but he refuses to get paralyzed again like back on that bridge. Revving toward the portal, he boldly declares his fear is totally gone. Time to wreck that giant lizard boss. Inside the murky swamp dungeon, he effortlessly blasts right across the deep mud. This upgrade is so broken, the massive wheels never slow down. Poor Lucio, though, drenched in swamp slime. Screech! He slams the brakes, completely startling them both. Sitting smack in the middle of this dungeon is a massive, insanely rich underground city. He remembers the guild report stating the lizard boss was past this gate. But honestly, something feels terribly wrong here. Where is everyone? Suddenly, an entire squad of spear-wielding lizard men spawns in. Hagen groans, realizing he totally jinxed himself just by thinking out loud, but when the lead lizard guard inspects the giant gate, absolutely nothing there. Hagen is stealthily hiding, keeping little Lucio tucked safe inside his helmet. She whispers about the scary guards, and he shushes her super obvious commentary. She nervously asks for the master plan. Are they just going to completely smash everything again? I know what you're thinking, time to fight. But Hagen knows this mission is strictly about getting intel, not throwing his life away again. Sneak in, find the king, grab the data, and get out alive. Perfect plan. Thankfully, the clueless guards march right past his hiding spot. These mobs might look smart, but their actual tracking senses are absolute garbage. Hagen finally starts feeling a lot more secure. Plus, if things go completely sideways, he can easily just buy an escape item straight from the system store. But then, ding, a wild delivery request suddenly pops up right inside the hostile dungeon. Why now? And right as a massive enemy alert blares warning signs, he totally forgot to mute system notifications at the worst possible second. He bolts frantically trying to process this insane timing, but then abruptly hits the brakes. Lucio asks why, and he promises she'll see momentarily. Right as a towering lizard monster lunges forward, Hagen whips out his phone. The beast instantly freezes up. The crazy request actually came from the Lizard King. The giant guard looks completely shell-shocked. The monster's Lucio, nobody has any clue what kind of glitch just happened. Hagen admits it is super weird getting a delivery order from a boss monster. Hey, cash is cash. He bluntly tells the guard he is busy, so just escort him to the big boss. The terrified lizards simply point right behind him. He almost yells at them to stop pointing until a massive, terrifying shadow slowly falls completely over him. Feeling that crushing aura, he slowly turns his head. The legendary Lizard King looks absolutely devastated and wrecked. Hagen spots the royal crown, but this beaten-down beast looks nothing like the scary guild report. It hisses and aggressively flicks its tongue, sputtering total gibberish at him. What do you and I learn here? Money solves everything, especially when buying a free translator. Stick with me here. Lucio steps up to translate, and when Hagen asks if she's sure, she confidently nods. Turns out lizard speak is pretty simple. The king hisses, Hagen asks for the translation, and Lucio drops the lore. A massive disaster hit this kingdom way back. Some ruthless invader just wrecked everything. Kids, unhatched eggs, adults, and even the elders. Total massacre. The entire place was left in ruins. Hagen instantly connects the dots. They totally want him to beat this guy. He instantly reads the room. He showed up here as a hunter, but now these giant lizards just look pathetic staring up at him with those big puppy dog eyes. Begging for help. Even Hagen questions why the artist drew them this adorable. He tries saying he's no hero, but Lucio translates the king's counteroffer. Save their home and he gets an exclusive treasure unique to the lizard realm. Instantly, our boy is totally hooked. He is way too greedy to pass up mystery loot. Lucio relays that the king wants to bring him downstairs right now to see the stash. Seeing a literal king groveling at his feet, Hagen drops the tough act and accepts the hit job. Cut to the basement a few minutes later and wow, these lizards are insanely rich. But wait, look who's back. The sneaky bandit scans the room with a massive smirk, realizing this vault is absolutely packed with top-tier loot. She honestly cannot decide whether to grab the rarest drops or just loot everything. And with barely 10 seconds before Hagen gets there, he and Lucio pull up right outside the massive vault doors. Just looking at the size of it, he knows the payload inside is epic. Burning his remaining strength, the king slowly pushes the heavy doors open. Watch closely. Golden light spills out as the doors swing wide. Hagen just stands there, jaw dropped. He expected an empty vault, but no, the gold is safe, and that annoying thief is literally hiding inside. He calculates the stash is about the size of Ares' warehouse. Lucio translates that the king basically looted this from dead humans who tried to invade. The Lizard King puffs out his chest, but Hagen is totally unfazed. He's about to critique the pile when he suddenly spots a glitch. A literal human clutching a massive stack of coins. The gold crashes to the floor, and she just gives him a super casual, "Yo, what's up?" The second she is exposed, the adorable mascot vibes disappear, and the lizards absolutely go feral. Lucio says they're screaming to capture the bandit, and honestly, they already have. This totally useless thief gets instantly dogpiled and pinned. Hagen demands to know how she sneaked in again. On the flip side, Suyun is equally lost. She received a system quest to rob this exact vault, but somehow he is here. Pinned to the floor, she looks up. "Junior, don't you remember me?" She reminds him they both take jobs from Hermes, hoping he'll use that to bail her out. Lucio chimes in, saying the king is asking if they are actually partners. Panicking over his precious reward money, Hagen looks like he might genuinely cry. He screams that he went to an all-boys academy and never had a female upperclassman. Desperate to save his paycheck, he marches right over, telling her to shut up and drop the act. "You idiot, I don't even work for Hermes." She blinks, totally stunned. If he does Hermes quests, why didn't the god mention her? Getting desperate, Suyun offers him a deal. Bust her out and she will grant any favor. And of course, his greedy brain instantly calculates how to monetize that favor. He strokes his chin while Lucio warns him that bandits lie. Solid advice, honestly. But after a perfectly dramatic pause, he just says, "Deal. I know what you're thinking." A normal promise. Nope. He demands she swear by the river Styx. She argues that a Styx oath is totally insane, but he shrugs. It's either the oath or he lets these giant lizards slice her throat and leave her as dungeon fertilizer. Feeling the literal blade against her skin, she finally caves and makes the unbreakable vow. If he saves Suyun Choi, she is completely at his mercy. He smirks, says perfect, and orders Lucio to smooth things over. Soon enough, she is untied and breathing a massive sigh of relief. She dodged an execution. She tries thanking her junior, but he instantly shuts her down. "First off, I'm not your junior, and second, you better be ready for whatever I demand." Naturally, her mind hits the gutter, instantly picturing some insanely inappropriate romantic favor. But Hagen is definitely not thinking about romance. He just wants cash. Right on cue, a blue system screen flashes with a brand new quest. Annihilate the Crimson Invader and save the Lizard Realm. The catch, a brutal 3-hour time limit. The reward, the kingdom's ultimate treasure. He freezes. 3 hours is basically nothing. Last time he got 50 hours and that barely felt enough. He snaps his head to Lucio. "We gotta move right now." No hesitation, he sprints off at max speed, leaving Suyun waving her hands, yelling for them to wait up. Left alone beside the giant king, she mutters under her breath, That absolute jerk did not even let her finish her sentence. Awkwardly, the huge king is just staring at her. Cut to Hagen already burning rubber on his motorcycle. The boss is 30 kilometers away. The time limit is insanely tight, but the travel distance isn't the real issue here. Actually surviving the fight is. Lucio screams at him to slow the bike down, but Hagen refuses. Out of absolutely nowhere, Soo-yoon teleports right in his path, smirking that he looks like he needs help. That's where we leave it. He practically jumps out of his skin and slams the brakes. Let's dive right into this wild Manhwa. Already annoyed, he asks why she followed him. The troublemaker just winks, claiming she absolutely couldn't leave her savior to struggle alone. He flat out tells her to stay away no matter what. He still hasn't collected on that favor. But she smirks, betting he won't be in such a rush to leave because she knows exactly which insane monster he's hunting down, the Red Drake. That immediately jogs his memory. Someone already warned him this absolute nightmare was gather information only. Yeah, he really should have seen this coming. He wonders if Seligan already knew the king and the Drake were totally connected. Looking over at Soo-jin, it's pretty obvious she isn't risking her neck fighting that beast, but she still desperately needs his trust to get a slice of that lizard loot. So she confidently claims she knows the absolute fastest shortcut to guide him there. Hagen claps back, asking how a simple thief is supposed to help. She just smirks. Never underestimate someone you barely even know. Finding the monster? Sure. Fighting it? No way. She proudly states a master thief always keeps a few sneaky escape tricks handy. Fast forward a bit, and he's speeding straight through a crimson forest this time, with a passenger. Soon enough, they spot a massive red lizard. She points dead ahead. The Red Drake. Now, the terrifying reputation totally checks out. Lucio nervously wonders if they can actually win. Hagen just says they are about to find out. He activates his battle helmet, takes a massive flying leap, and winds up for an epic punch. Estimated difficulty, level 7 boss. And Hagen just slams its head. You and I both thought that hit would end the fight instantly, right? Nope, the beast gets right back up roaring. Our boy just grins. Time for a beatdown. He drops another devastating blow from high up, sending shockwaves everywhere. Down below, Soo-jin literally covers her face in pure shock. How is he even pulling this off? She's a hunter chosen by Hermes, used to absolute insanity, but this makes zero sense to her. This crazy guy is throwing punches and kicks exactly like Master Lee. Red Drake stumbles back completely crushed. He is literally matching Master Lee's moves against a beast the association ranked near level 7. That makes it a top 10 dungeon monster in the entire freaking world. He knows Hermes chose him too, but a godly blessing alone cannot explain this ridiculous power. Elite hunters usually have 15 years of hardcore experience under top-tier gods. But Hagen, he got his crazy powers less than a year ago. So how is he outperforming seasoned veterans? Plus, watching the Drake stumble blindly, she realizes something feels incredibly off. Then it finally clicks. The Drake is frantically searching for him, while he floats above cloaked by his helmet completely invisible. That is when she realizes he is packing a cannon. The monster roars and unleashes a crushing swing. The devastating hit smashes the ground to pieces, but hits absolutely nothing but dirt. Chilling in the air, Hagen figures the giant beast is just swinging blindly at empty space now. Hey, monsters only exist to drop cash and catch hands. The ground shatters, leaving barely anything left of the poor lizard. Wait, scratch that. After a ridiculously long time and countless brutal punches, Hagen admits he has totally lost count, yet the oversized lizard is still kicking. So yeah, you and I can see this isn't exactly easy. Worse, his clothing buff is fading fast. The helmet keeps him hidden, but without that extra power boost, his punches are way too weak. That leaves only one option left. Go absolutely all in. He summons the big boy to finally end it. Screaming for it to die, he lunges at the giant lizard. The beast senses it. Looks like a clean hit coming, but the bastard dodges. But how it literally cannot see him right now. Then the brutal reality hits. The crazy force of his own swing shattered his helmet's cloaking effect. Now the Drake strikes back. The explosion looks like a direct hit. Soo-jin is completely stunned that he didn't dodge. Why on earth would he take that massive blow? Lucio snaps at the foolish human, warning Soo-jin that stepping in now would only slow Hagen down, so she stays put while Lucio questions why this random nymph is hiding in the bushes. Still, Lucio has total faith in Hagen. He has survived countless deadly disasters, and always finds a ridiculous way out. That is why the gods back him. There is no way he loses here. Soo-jin scoffs nice sentiment, but the kid just ate a direct hit. Nobody survives that kind of blast. But wait, he's climbing. He mutters that the lizard feels super soft, leaving her absolutely baffled, while Lucio just keeps screaming cheers from the sidelines. While climbing with 57 seconds of buff left, he spots a star-shaped crystal near its throat. Trust me, you and I want to see this. Lucio instantly shouts a warning. That is the reverse scale, the ultimate weak spot. He immediately opens the system shop. To wipe this massive thing out, he needs heavy firepower. So he asks Lucio, is this Drake actually a dragon? She isn't totally sure. But a reverse scale, that usually points to a super rare wyvern. Close enough. His points drop from 1.3 million down to 1 million. Stick with me, we are about to see what kind of crazy weapon that buys. Zero clue what it does yet, but it cost a total fortune. The Sigurd sword, also known as Dragonbane. Yet he is still dangling from the monster's chest. Seo Yoon is completely baffled by his sudden weapon summon, but our guy knows the deal. With this new blade, one strike to the weak spot ends it. He rushes in, but the monster's eyes suddenly flare with pure fire. Judging by his face, total panic. He has no idea why this creature is suddenly bursting into absolute flames. The blast completely throws him back. Is this its ultimate attack? He violently slams right into the dirt. Not good. The reverse scale is totally blocked now. Lucio screams at him to watch out while Seoyeon sprints over begging him to run. Phase 2 is a whole different beast. She demands they team up, but he instantly shuts that down. She cannot hide her presence, so stay back. But of course, she already has another trick ready. Wait, what? She just smirks. Fine, then sit back and watch the magic happen. And with that, she chucks a potion. Tear of Demeter. A legendary ice potion straight from the Earth Goddess. One touch freezes anything, and instantly the Drake King is completely locked in solid ice. The monster becomes a giant popsicle. She yells that now is his chance. He demands why she hid that. She says she was waiting for Phase 2 on purpose. Classic anime timing, and the two start loudly bickering right there. Lucio interrupts screaming at him to move before it thaws. But too late. The absolute beast is already waking up. Seo Yoon is shocked. Nothing should break Demeter's prison that fast. Even worse, the fiery aura returns and our guy only has 20 seconds left before his suit totally powers down. Seo Yoon declares this is her absolute final shot to create an opening. She tosses her final potion. Another tear of Demeter, but plant-based. It hits the beast and instantly just melts away. Watch closely now, this is the do or die moment. Suit powering down, he leaps right at the scale and unleashes a massive purple slash. A direct hit to the level 7 boss. Clean decapitation. He did not just break the weak spot, he completely wiped the Red Drake off the map. Meanwhile, at Seongjun's guild, Doyoon reports that their nearby dungeon research is officially wrapped up. Leader thanks him, telling him to rest. But Doyoon hesitates. He heard a wild rumor in the elevator and desperately asks if it is true. Did the association really dump a walking disaster right into their laps? Yeah, the Lizardman dungeon. They have zero clue how to handle it. But then the leader drops a bomb. Hajun actually solo cleared it 2 days ago. At first, he thought Hajun just finished scouting. But nope, not even close. That absolute madman actually killed the Red Drake. Totally off script. It just happened. Seongjun thought it was a joke, sent a recon team, and yeah, the monster is completely dead. I know what you are thinking. How do you explain this? The guild leader is losing his mind over what this kid just did. Sure, everyone is thrilled that a city-destroying threat is finally dead. But this creates a massive headache. Hajun has an ironclad contract. His real identity must stay totally hidden, but someone needs the credit for dropping a level 7 beast, and whoever that is, they are going to be famous. Doyoon is fully hyped. That delivery guy is a cheat code. He could probably crush most top-tier hunters now. Seongjun sighs, thinking he might need to raise him to a rank. Doyoon instantly backpedals. Never mind, no promotion needed, let us just keep this whole thing completely quiet. But Seongjun realizes something. If the Drake is dead, what about the Lizard King intel? Cut right back to the royal castle. Yoshi bursts in totally emotional, ready to praise their great savior. Lucio translates the thanks, but he cuts her off. No need to point out the obvious. He grabs the king's hand, playing it completely cool. Just doing my job, no bowing necessary. But honestly, the king has zero clue what our guy actually wants for a reward. Right on cue, the nervous king drags out a massive treasure chest. They open it up and are genuinely impressed. Inside a tiny little pouch. The king asks if he likes it. He just stares, completely ready to complain. He risked his life for a tiny sack, but Lucio stops him. This is no normal bag. So what is it? He drops the lore. It is a spatial inventory bag. Endless storage space. Fast forward to the very next morning. The Yoshi tribe gathers for a tearful goodbye. But early on, Seongjun calls him with a major update. That instance, Dungeon Gate, completely vanished. It was likely just an escape route for the Lizardmen, and that is where we leave it. The kingdom is safe, the portal shuts down, and our guy heads home a total legend. Stick with me here. He's finally realizing we might not have to kill everything to shut these gates. Maybe humans and monsters aren't enemies, or maybe that's pure wishful thinking. Suddenly, Suvin congratulates him, hinting his new reward will be super useful. He nods, asking if she's satisfied. She burned through rare potions for literally zero payback. She smirks, claiming she never works for free. Then he spots her hiding something up her sleeve. What an absolute little thief. He demands to know what she snatched. Ignoring him entirely, she just struts away casually, tossing back that she enjoyed their little team-up. Thanks to him, she scored her prize. Poof, she's gone. He just shakes his head once. A thief, always a thief. Whatever, not his problem. Time to head home. Lucio asks if they are leaving right now, but he smirks. Not quite yet. First up, collecting his giant paycheck. Hello, 8 billion sweet dollars. Stangen promises him a cut of the Red Drake's research profits. He totally forgot dead monsters are literally massive piles of cash. He's been playing delivery boy for so long he forgot dungeon diving is super profitable. From now on, absolutely no monster corpse gets left behind. Lucio wonders why he's grinning like a maniac. Suddenly she smells chicken. Earlier she wasn't hungry, but now she's practically begging for food. He offers her a soda, but she ignores it and instantly burns her tongue. Did this girl seriously starve to death in a past life? Chowing down on yesterday's leftovers, he declares that top-tier chicken stays amazing, even day old. Remember when he lived off cheap convenience store junk that gave him terrible heartburn? Now he's casually dropping $30 on premium chicken without blinking. Being rich is awesome. Lucio even offers to generously share a leftover chicken bone. Right on cue, a brand new delivery request pops up. The second Lucio sees the alert, she starts aggressively shoving chicken right into her mouth. She knows another chaotic trip is starting, but our guy isn't rushing things anymore. Breakfast first, work second. With 10 billion chilling in his bank, he can afford to relax. But meanwhile, the Greek territory is absolute chaos. Pay attention here. The city is burning bodies everywhere, and backing down isn't an option. They charge straight at the golden-eyed beast hiding in the smoke. A scout tells the king they're giving it everything, but it's totally useless against this insane level of power. The king desperately asks about their summoned hero, but the update is terrible. The hero won't arrive for another 3 days. The king groans that is way too late. By then, the entire palace will be total rubble. Suddenly, the entire battlefield violently starts to shake. Boom! A minotaur blasts right through the fortress wall. The terrified king screams out to Poseidon, begging to know if the gods have abandoned them. Back at Hephaestus' place, our MC wonders where the guy is. Lucio guesses they're late, but he immediately blames her. She literally demanded air fryer chicken thighs before leaving. Checking his phone, he sees endless missed calls. Okay, this job might actually be super urgent. Right on cue, Lucio turns around. Hephaestus stomps over looking furious, so the big guy finally showed up. The MC awkwardly asks if they still need a delivery. The dwarf glares, reminding him this is ultra urgent and definitely won't be an easy job. They head inside to talk, the MC just nodding along. Once seated, the dwarf sighs, heavily admitting this disaster is so huge, he barely knows where to even begin explaining. The MC just tells him to start from the beginning. He'll try listening, but honestly, he's getting seriously nervous now. This guy never hesitates, meaning this mission is ridiculously dangerous. Then Hephaestus brings up a recent chat with Freya. Our MC suddenly remembers the old story about the universe being split into 7 pieces. I know what you're thinking, where are the Olympians? Well, it's gotten so bad that these invaders are hitting zones even the gods themselves can't enter. At the Olympian Council, the gods learned more. These creatures aren't just invading myth zones. They've actually broken into the human world. The source of this massive disaster definitely isn't limited to the upper tiers. It's spreading downward, even hitting the underworld. But here's the massive problem: thanks to the laws of causality, gods literally cannot interfere in human territory. The only good news is that these creatures still can't move completely freely yet. Right now, they're just planting evil seeds, waiting to see what hatches. Our guy immediately waves his hands to stop the dwarf. He admits he's completely lost. What seeds? Which gods? What is he even talking about? Hephaestus stares, asking if he seriously doesn't know the truth. As the MC starts answering, the audio suddenly totally cuts out. Confused, he says he missed that part and asks him to repeat the name. Even Lucio chimes in, saying she just heard a creepy static noise. Hephaestus sighs, realizing the divine laws won't let him speak the secret directly. Centuries ago, the gods teamed up to completely seal this thing away. So even whispering its name is strictly forbidden. The dwarf tells him to chill out, he'll learn the truth eventually. But for now, today's heavy delivery mission is deeply tied to this mess. He explains they were expecting a massive tribute from someone named Blank, but it randomly vanished and hasn't arrived yet. So what do you and I make of this? If Poseidon finds out, he'll go totally nuclear. Our guy better solve this mystery fast before all hell breaks loose. Good pay. Oh, definitely. Our MC puts it simply. A delivery was missed. You and I are jumping right in. Hiding from Poseidon is one thing, but he asks, why is everyone panicking so badly? Lucia drops the truth. Any other king? Fine. But King Minos, being late to him is an absolute death sentence. The guy literally doomed his entire kingdom by defying Poseidon over a white bull, which led straight to that legendary deadly labyrinth housing the terrifying Minotaur. How does a late package equal Minotaur trouble? He has absolutely no clue, but figures he'll find out soon, so he heads out, well, barely. His water-walking buff suddenly flashes and expires. stranded on a tiny speck of land before drowning. Lucia nags him to be careful, and he just sighs. He had no idea it was this ridiculously far. Time to hit the cash shop for a boat, right? Wrong. The prices are absolutely insane. 30 million for a basic boat. 50 million for the Argo. Noah's Ark, 100 million. Yeah, not happening. Lucia demands a backup plan. He shrugs, they'll just look around. Maybe some free loot is lying nearby. Whipping out his infinite bag, he proudly brags that this is exactly why he prepped so hard. He packed absolutely every useful item imaginable. Except an actual boat, so instead he just pulls out binoculars to scout. Bingo. Through the lenses, a temple with smoke rising catches his eye. A perfect little pit stop on the way to Crete Island. Suddenly, boom, a hostile soldier blocks his view, screaming for identification. Then a whole squad rolls up, demanding to know why they are trespassing. Our boy keeps it cool. Hands up. He just needs a ride to Crete Island. Now pay attention here. One soldier loses his mind, screaming about trespassing. But a heavy hand grabs his shoulder, and a new voice calmly says he wants to hear the kid out. Suspicious, right? But then the MC looks closer and realizes, wait, that is literally Theseus. Another absolute legend. Our MC actually recognizes him this time. Lucia chimes in fast. Yep, this is the legendary hero who defeated the Minotaur, the only guy to ever escape that cursed labyrinth. Later, crowned king of Athens, racking up insane adventures with full god-tier backing. Theseus smirks. That weird outfit gives it away. He bets this kid is the famous divine delivery man. The kid's shock says it all. Theseus laughs, nobody else dresses like that. He admits he heard all the rumors straight from Jason over at the Argo company. Oh yeah. The MC totally remembers that's the captain who hired him for the siren job. Confused by the hype, our guy asks what the streets are saying. Theseus grins. Literally everyone knows him now, raiding the siren nest, slaying the Hydra, fixing Chiron's leg, and sneaking deliveries into Helheim for the Norse gods. He is basically becoming a superstar across the divine realms, and honestly, he is definitely feeling himself right now. Lucia eagerly asks about her own rep. Theseus awkwardly mentions some random assistant. Ouch. Her ego is instantly shattered into pieces. While she literally melts down in the background, Theseus hands over a document to get him straight to Crete Island. The MC checks it. A legendary map, but a weeping Lucia spots the fine print. The threat has officially returned. Wait a second. Didn't Theseus kill the Minotaur back in the day? Theseus looks grim. He never actually killed it, just locked it away in the labyrinth. The horrible truth, he has zero clue how that ancient seal finally broke. Tomorrow morning he sails to Crete to finish the job forever. Then he drops the invite, want a tag-along delivery boy. Our MC hesitates. Fighting wasn't on today's schedule. But he sighs and agrees. Classic Manhwa logic, things never go as planned. You saw this coming, right? Cut to King Minos violently trapped in the Minotaur's grip. The beast is absolutely enraged. Morning hits. He shakes Lucia awake, but she is begging for 5 more minutes. He yells at her to get moving. The boat is leaving, and they are completely out of time. She whines about him being too strict. He ignores her, staring outside, praying. Theseus actually managed to recruit enough muscle for this fight, because yesterday Theseus told him to chill out while he went scrambling to gather every single ally he could find. That's when our guy asked how he even survived the Minotaur the first time. The secret Princess Ariadne of Crete totally carried him. This monster wasn't just a beast, it was a literal curse. A divine punishment that absolutely destroyed King Minos and his bloodline. But here's the crazy part. That thing was supposed to be locked deep underground. Forever. So how is it back on the surface, ready to demolish Crete? Theseus narrows his eyes. He intends to find out. The clock is ticking before everything burns. And this time, no seals. He is putting that monster in the grave. But our MC asks the real question. Why build an army instead of just rushing in right now? Theseus admits he wanted to rush until Hercules told him a dark secret. He refuses to elaborate, leaving our boy completely stressed out. His mind races. Could this nightmare be connected to the cryptic warning Hephaestus dropped back at the shop? So what do you and I make of this? Fighting monsters is one thing, but getting dragged into a massive god-level conspiracy, that's way worse. Alright, jump in with me here. Lucio is totally hyped, but Hagen knows she has zero clue how deadly this gets. Down at the docks, soldiers are hauling crates onto the ship while our boy flags down Theseus. Hero laughs. He actually thought he'd have to drag Hagen out of bed since Lucio claims he's super lazy. But whatever he says, to just hop aboard and meet everyone else later, our boy is totally speechless. This ship is absolutely massive. Straight up looks like something pulled from an anime. Theseus proudly grins. Makes sense because it actually belonged to a legendary hero once. Hagen asks what Lucio just said, but she swears it wasn't her. Now he's super confused. That annoying high-pitched comment sounded exactly like something a tiny nymph would blurt out. Then a voice sneers that country nymphs always act like that. Our guy spins around and spots basically Lucio version 2.0. He's a fun-sized male nymph, and somehow she actually knows him. She calls him Luver, happily yelling that it's been forever. Lucio is practically bouncing, shocked that he's working for Theseus. But Luver just shoves her face away. "Do not step closer," he says. They are definitely not friends. Watch closely here. This is his second time seeing a male nymph, and suddenly he realizes Lucio wasn't kidding about being tall. Then Theseus interrupts, asking why Luver is just standing there. He orders him to show the guests to their rooms. Hagen apologizes, saying it is not Luver's fault. He totally gets it having a chaotic nymph too. Theseus just shrugs it off, telling them to gear up because they are leaving right now. Hogan asks Luver to lead the way, but the poor guy is still recovering from Lucio's savage roasting. Once inside the massive ship, they discover their room is surprisingly super nice. Luver quietly thanks our boy for hiding their little fight from Theseus. Hagen smiles. No problem. If he's friends with Lucio, they're buddies too. Instantly, those two start bickering again. Luver just heavily sighs, gives up entirely, and walks off looking totally defeated. Our guy finds that super weird. Does Theseus actually treat him like garbage? Lucio explains that nymphs are literally just servants everywhere else. Theseus isn't cruel, Hagen is just the weird one for treating her nicely. Let that sink in for a second. In old myths, slavery was perfectly normal. But to our modern guy, that makes absolutely zero sense. The ship finally sets sail. Watching the waves, Theseus quietly mutters he never thought he'd have to enter that deadly labyrinth again. Landing at the city, the soldiers immediately disembark. But our boy, he is completely paralyzed. Everything is totally destroyed. More rubble than actual city. Worse, the victims look like they suffered pure agony. Theseus grimly says this has to be the Minotaur's doing. Right now, searching for survivors is priority number 1. Luver points straight ahead. At least one building survived the rampage. The legendary Temple of Poseidon. Because this whole nightmare was considered the god's punishment, the beast probably didn't dare step foot near it. They rush the temple, but a bloody trail leads right to the massive doors. Theseus kicks them open, bracing for the Minotaur. But instead, he finds a huge crowd of terrified, desperate survivors. The people start crying the second they spot Theseus. He is beyond relieved that so many actually survived. They quickly escort the survivors back to the boats. Hagen breathes a sigh of relief, glad it wasn't a total wipeout. Suddenly, an old man shuffles up from behind him, whispering that he has some absolutely critical news. The beast took King Minos hostage. Hagen asks where it dragged him. And come on, obviously, into the deepest, darkest core of the labyrinth. You and I know the real problem here. The longer they wait, the harder.